Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Good evening, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order for Tuesday, August 4th, 6 p.m. City Council meeting. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and then invocation by Pastor Pete Torres, Victory Outreach, Paso. Join with me, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. My name is Pete Torres. I have the privilege to pastor Victory Outreach Paso. In Psalm 90:17, it reads, "And may the Lord our God show us his approval and make our efforts successful." Yes, make our efforts successful. Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, I thank you for today, Lord. And I pray right now for the strategy, God, of the city council, the mayor. I pray right now for everything to be effective to make our community better, Lord. I pray for the chief of police, the fire chief. I pray for every single first responder, God, that you continue to utilize them, Heavenly Father, to make our community not only safer but effective, God. I thank you for what you're doing with this council. I pray for fresh strategies to be put into place. I pray for wisdom upon every single person that has the chance to make decisions that regards to people here within this community, Lord. And I just ask right now, God, for there to be a heavenly peace upon the city of Paso Robles. God, let this community thrive because you're at the center of it. We thank you for what you're doing through our lives, what you're going to do here this evening. In Jesus' name we all say amen.
Amen.
God bless you guys.
Thank you, Pastor Torres. Melissa, will you call roll call, please?
Councilmember Bausch?
Here.
Councilmember Beal? Here. Councilmember Gregory?
Here.
Councilmember Strong?
Here.
Mayor Hammond?
Here. And we'll have staff introductions beginning on my right.
Melissa Martin, City Clerk, joined by Mary Sponholz, Deputy City Clerk.
Warren Frace, Community Development Director. Looks like you're up, Chris.
Chris Hewitt, City Manager.
Elizabeth Hull, City Attorney.
All right, thank you, guys. Presentations, the first up is we have a wonderful celebration here of all the event people that worked on this. 4th of July recap, staff recognition. So Angelica, are we going to be able to bring everybody up?
We are. We actually, I wanted to thank the folks that helped plan the 4th of July. While there was a very large contingent, it really does take a village to put on this event. Today we were specifically honoring the folks that were on the planning committee. And I actually want to invite Linda Plesha up as well, who will provide a recap of the event. Linda this year took the lead in planning the event. She was our lead event coordinator. Would you like to hear the presentation first and then invite folks up, or would you like to invite folks up first?
However you'd like to do it. We got a lot.
We have a lot of people, and there's actually one name that we need to add to that list. Let's go, if it's okay with you, we'll have Linda present.
I'd love to tell you about all the great things we accomplished this year, and then we can celebrate the folks that helped make it happen. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I'm Linda Plesha, Recreation Services Manager, and I have the privilege of coordinating this year's 4th of July celebration at Barney Schwartz Park. This year's event was especially meaningful as our nation celebrated its 250th anniversary. Thousands of community members came together for an evening filled with patriotism, family fun, live entertainment, and an incredible fireworks display. Thanks to the dedication, teamwork, and careful planning of the staff, volunteers, community partners, and sponsors, the celebration was our largest and most successful event to date. Which way goes forward? Warren, if I'm doing the arrow, is that right? That works. The event committee began meeting in February to plan this once-in-a-lifetime celebration. On the day of the event, 100 city employees worked a total of 900 hours from 6 a.m. until 2 a.m. to create a safe, smooth, and memorable experience for an estimated 10 to 12,000 attendees. A special thank you to our emergency services and police department staff who carefully prepared for every possible incident, maintained a strong safety presence throughout the park, and managed traffic at the end of the evening to help ensure everyone made it home safely. You're going to need to do that for me. There we go. Community volunteers are truly the heart of this event. 50 volunteers, including 19 returning volunteers, members of the police department's Community Volunteer Patrol, and the Community Emergency Response Team, contributed more than 150 hours of service. Their presence throughout the park helped create a safe, welcoming, and enjoyable experience for thousands of attendees. Next slide, please. Oh, there we go. The stage came alive at 5:30 p.m. with Garden Party, who delivered an outstanding set of feel-good hits from the 60s and 70s. Steppin' Out followed at 7 p.m. with a high-energy performance that turned the park into a dance party and had the crowd on its feet. Together, the bands created the perfect soundtrack for an unforgettable evening and carried the energy right into the event's patriotic finale. I went too fast. I do want to go back, sorry. I should be on slide 5. Back. Can I go back? Sorry. It's just I want you to see all these beautiful photos from this year's event. One more. There we go. In honor of our nation's 250th birthday, the evening included a stirring presentation of the colors by the North County Veterans Color Guard, followed by a powerful live performance of the national anthem by rising country artist and 7th-generation Shandon native, Callie Twisselman. As she sang The Rocket's Red Glare, the first fireworks soared into the night sky, creating an unforgettable moment as the spectacular fireworks finale began. Me or you? Thank you. The free family fun zone was packed with energy and quickly became one of the event's biggest attractions. Field 1 was filled with inflatable obstacle courses and slides, water games, cornhole, axe throwing, bright day big blocks, the hilarious granny pants toss, and our new Paso Play on Wheels recreation van. It was the perfect place for families to play, laugh, and make lasting memories while celebrating 250 years of American history together. Next, please. Our sponsor VIP pavilion was decked out in red, white, and blue and filled with smiling faces throughout the evening. As a special thank you to the generous sponsors who helped make this celebration possible, guests enjoyed a catered barbecue, complimentary refreshments, and reserved seating with one of the best views in the park for the spectacular fireworks finale. Next. We are incredibly grateful to our 21 local business sponsors whose generous cash and in-kind contributions totaled $100,060 this year. Their support plays a vital role in the success of this celebration and helps ensure this cherished community tradition remains free and accessible to everyone. We anticipate carrying forward approximately $95,000 to support next year's event, providing a strong foundation for another successful celebration. Next. I may have mentioned that I requested perfect weather for the celebration, but I never imagined the sky itself would join us with this spectacular red, white, and blue sunset. It was the perfect introduction to the glorious fireworks show that followed, and one more unforgettable moment in a truly magical day at Barney Schwartz Park. I am incredibly proud and honored to have helped bring this historic celebration to our community. Final slide. On behalf of the event committee, city staff, volunteers, sponsors, and community partners, thank you all for your continued support of this treasured community tradition. Together, we created an unforgettable celebration worthy of our nation's 250th anniversary, and we look forward to welcoming thousands of residents and visitors back to Barney Schwartz Park next year as we continue celebrating our community and country together. Thank you.
Linda? Yeah, I was gonna give them a line. There's a bunch of them here if we want to. We have Angelica Fortune, Karen Jackson, David Malowitz, Dwayne Brown, Gigi Clark, James Taylor, Jerry Record, Joseph Leonard, Justin Dowling, Jeremy Record, Justin Dowling, and Lavella Walker, and of course Linda Plesha. Okay, well, we also have Melissa Green, Melissa Martin, who's sitting over here, Paul Patty, and Paul's here. We're going to have to start making room over here, guys. Piper Smith, Ross Porter, Steve Boyette, and Wyatt Lund. And this is just a sampling of what put it on. John Nichols, is he here? Okay. On behalf of the City Council and the entire community of Paso Robles, we want to thank you for doing the job that you did for 2026. Totally amazing. More importantly, thank you for the countless hours each of you invested in the 250th anniversary 4th of July celebration for our nation. Events like this don't happen by accident, of course. They are the result of months of planning, teamwork, and commitment to excellence. Because of your dedication and thousands of residents and visitors enjoying this safe, memorable, and truly patriotic celebration that reflected the very best in Paso Robles, please accept our sincere appreciation from the City Council for your professionalism, your teamwork, and willingness to serve our community. We're proud to work alongside you, such as exceptional groups and employees and volunteers that we have. We have a recognition of certificate that maybe, Linda, can you help me? Yeah. Angelica 14. Karen Jackson. David Malowitz. Jesse. Yeah. Dwayne Brown. And Gigi. Okay. And
James Taylor? Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, kind of. James Taylor.
No, he's not here
He's
tonight.
not here. Okay. Jeremy Record. And Joseph Leonard. Justin Dowling.
Where did I lost you, Justin?
There you go, Justin. Lavella Walker. Linda Plesha. Yeah, there you go, Linda. And Melissa Green. Melissa Martin. Melissa, there you are. Paul Patty. Paul didn't make it. Yeah, Ross can take it to him. Piper Smith, and she's not here. Ross Porter, who I met on the airport road today on TC. Steve Boyette. Wyatt Lund, and he's not here. All right. Please give these guys a great round of applause. Can't wait till you see what you guys do next year, too. All right. On to it. Oh, we got to get a photo?
Get it, Mark?
Mark? Yeah.
Scooch on in. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
John.
everyone. One more. We have one more presentation. Dwayne, don't sit down. Come on back. Dwayne Brown. We have a proclamation on the Graffiti Volunteer Appreciation Week that Dwayne's going to be the recipient of, August 2nd through 8th, 2026. Can you hold that, Dwayne? Yeah, you've been picked. Whereas, a clean and well-maintained community enhances the quality of life, fosters civic pride, and contributes to the vitality of the Paso Robles area for its residents, businesses, and visitors alike. And whereas, graffiti creates an unsightly appearance, diminishes neighborhood aesthetics, negatively affects property values, and detracts from the welcoming character of our community. And whereas, dedicated community volunteers generally contribute their time, talent, and resources by partnering with the City of Paso Robles to remove graffiti from walls, sidewalks, buildings, and other public spaces, helping to restore and preserve the beauty of our community. And whereas, these exceptional volunteers exemplify the highest ideals in service through their commitment to our communities, saving the city and its taxpayers valuable resources while fostering a cleaner, safer, and more attractive environment for everyone. And whereas the City Council wishes to publicly recognize these dedicated volunteers and express sincere appreciation for their outstanding service, unwavering commitment, and meaningful contributions to our community. And therefore, let it be resolved that I, John Hammond, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor and speaking on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim August 2nd through the 8th of 2026 as Graffiti Volunteer Appreciation Week in Paso Robles, and urge our fellow citizens to thank these volunteers for their selfless service. Dwayne, you want to say a word, maybe?
I do. Can we have all the volunteers come up, please? So I can't say enough about this group of people. I'm extremely honored to present this group of volunteers. These folks do amazing things for our city. They basically, taking a look at this group, there is 69 and a half combined years of city service, which is amazing. They put in at least 850 to 900 hours per year helping to keep our city beautiful. Honestly, the facilities team, maintenance services, we really couldn't live without them, and I really can't praise them enough. The city is lucky to have them, and again, I'm just incredibly thankful for their service. So thank you very much, all of you. So.
Thank you, Dwayne.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Thanks, guys. All right, next we have capital projects report, Ditas Esperanza.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the
There you
City
go.
Council, and the public. This is our once-a-month status update of the capital projects in construction and coming up for construction in the Public Works Department. We haven't had one for a while, but we don't have too much going on right now. We're starting a lot of projects. So these are projects in construction. Here's a list, and I'll just go through them with the pictures. So the Sierra Bonita project is 90% complete with a major part of the work, which is grinding and overlay of the streets in the Sierra Bonita neighborhood. However, there's a portion in the Turtle Creek neighborhood, Trinity, some of those streets. The repairs on those streets were for slurry seal, along with Scott Street and Fallbrook Court. We are waiting for that to occur once the sewer pipelines and water pipelines are completed in Scott Street, and then we will resume the work, and then the Sierra Bonita project will be officially completed. The next project that's in construction, that has started construction right now, is the Creston Road Corridor Phase 2, which includes a roundabout as shown in this exhibit. If you recall, Phase 1 was completed last year. That went from South River to Orchard. Now we're starting from Orchard to Niblick. So the work, let me go back. The work is structured in 2 phases. They both start at the same time. Phase A is all the work in the roundabout, which consists of water line upgrades, sewer pipeline upgrades, drain lines, etc., and they take quite a bit of work and time, and then eventually we'll do the actual roundabout. So that's slated to be completed fall 2028. So the first order of business is to install what's called an isolation water valves throughout. So you'll see it's just spots all over the streets. That's so we can turn off the valves when we start beginning to actually install pipelines. That way we can turn off the pipelines and then install the pipeline and then turn it back on. To that, so once we're done with the isolation valves, we will be beginning to install pipelines. And so that work will be done in the evening hours as well, because we have to turn off the water service and we don't want to impede the businesses from having no water. That one will take a lot more time and a lot more complicated because it's an actual pipeline instead of isolation valves. And so with that project, with that phase of the project, we will need to close Creston Road between Nickerson and Melody, but it'll be closed from the hours of 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. to take advantage of the least amount of traffic during the day. It should only take one night. Emergency area will be available for emergency use, and localized traffic will be allowed to go through the detour. More details to follow as we are preparing for that actual closure, likely after Labor Day. So the other Phase B part of the project is the curbs, gutters, and curb ramps, and that's is taking place from Melody to Niblick. Again, they're starting at the same time as roundabout. The only thing underground to be placed here is future fiber conduits, and then once the curb ramps and the sidewalks and the conduit is completed, then we'll also begin the paving part. So that's slated to be completed 1 year earlier than the roundabout, which is about fall 2027. That work is done during the day. The next project that's coming into construction will start on August 10th, which is next week. It's been a long time waiting, is the Commerce Way Road repairs from Scott Street to Sherwood. That will have dig-out repairs and grind and overlay, and then finally pavement and striping. There's only one curb ramp in this whole stretch of the road, so it should go pretty fast, or faster than normal, and then we'll be striping it. And just a reminder, when we put the stripe back, that it won't quite look like the way it was. We'll be striping it for bike lane, center line median, much more robust than what it used to look like. The other project just started yesterday, which is the Riverside project from 17th to 21st. Right now, we're just doing curb ramps and sidewalks, and we're using community block grant to fund those construction. So we're saving our sales tax money for the actual road repair. So we'll be finishing that later this year, and then on the heels of it, we'll be repairing the actual surface, which uses the sales tax. So that will likely happen early next year, so that the surface will be completed before Mid-State Fair 2027. So that's all the projects that's in construction right now. The next batch of projects are coming up. One is the downtown streets. I think I've reported this many times already. We are in design. We hope to finish later this year and begin construction, hopefully towards the middle of end of next year. The Orchard Bungalow is in design. We're doing it in phases. Phase 1 is in design, and that should also be finished and be in construction later next year. And as well, the Sherwood neighborhood is in design. Again, maybe by next year, it'll be in construction. This project has quite a bit of curb ramps. It's an old neighborhood, so a lot of the curb ramps are out of alliance with design, with the requirements, and so they will need to be upgraded. And then the road is pretty heavily used and needs to be ground and overlaid. Yes. And then this one here is the west side, 16th, 18th, 30th, 32nd, and 36th. This actually will be moving to the construction part on my next report. This project is on your agenda to award to West Rock, and once it's awarded, we'll begin construction. You might see the contractor starting ahead of time, just to start potholing the existing utilities so we know where they are vertically, because this was going to be a full-depth reclamation project. That concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Deedus. Questions of Deedus?
Great.
Bill.
How are they going to be handling, like the 16th, 18th Street? Is that going to be sequenced street by street, or what's sort of the timeline for that?
So those require a lot of curb ramp upgrades, so they'll probably just do curb ramps on the whole thing and then come back with the actual street repair.
Okay, thank you.
Questions on my right? No? Good?
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
anybody in the public have any questions? Good? Sure, Chris, go ahead.
Deedus, I noticed on Creston at about Melody, they were doing some saw cuts and whatnot on the ramps. It wasn't a city crew, it was another construction crew. There wasn't any kind of a notice ahead of time, like on south on Melody. So you had to make kind of a double detour to come back.
Oh, for traffic control.
For traffic control, so if maybe they could mark that like farther out so residents can take a different route and not have to double back on it.
Okay, advance notice for traffic. Okay, will do.
Okay, thank you very much, Deedus.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Airport Operations Update. Mark Scandalis, Airport Manager. Welcome, Mark.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mark Scandalis, Airport Manager, here to give a periodic update. Here to do this probably about once a quarter. Just want to bring you up to date on what we're doing at the airport. So first, I will use this as my free advertising and shameless plug for the airport is hiring. We have an operations and maintenance supervisor out currently and an airport maintenance technician. If you know anyone or you'd like to apply, please apply at prc.com or scan the QR code for more information.
Yeah, I am going to be out of a job here in 4 months.
Our ongoing FAA grant program, right now we have an open grant for full-depth reconstruction of taxiway Alpha north of Bravo. That is shown with the black arrow there. In 2025, you may recall we got a design grant from the FAA to design that project. It has been designed. We've gone out to bid. We have gotten responsive bids, and now we've submitted a $3.9 million construction grant. We do expect to hear back from the FAA in fall/winter this year. For our master plan, these are ongoing efforts here behind the scenes. This is a major part of our spaceport application. We need to update the master plan to reflect what we're doing with the spaceport, also with our continued progress with the airport as well. We've held 4 planning advisory committee meetings for this, 3 public workshops. We now do have an identified alternative, draft alternative. Our next steps are to go for local approvals. That'd be Airport Commission, Airport Land Use Commission, which is at county level, and then City Council for adoption of that. If you would like more info, all of the materials for the master plan are online at prb.airportstudy.net. There's a QR code you can also scan. One of the projects the council wanted us to go forward with was refreshing the airport terminal. High-level overview, that's a new paint scheme, that's new interior furnishings, a new monument sign at Airport Road, and some security upgrades around the terminal. We've come up with a design concept there. We're going to go for local approvals there as well. That'd be Airport Commission / Planning Commission, City Council for approval of that project. And then we would bid the project and construct it. In this current 2-year budget, we allocated funds out of the airport fund to pay for this project. We did apply for an FAA grant, a discretionary grant, to try to get some funds out of that. We were not selected in the first round of funding. There's a chance, but unlikely. Luckily, we've planned for this in the airport fund in the next 2-year budget cycle, and we can move forward with that project. Airport logo, council's authorized us to come up with a logo for the airport, get us on the map, so to speak. I've had some public workshops and some public input on that. We've developed some themes. Those themes are a primary logo, a seal type logo, which would go well with the city's logo, which is a seal itself. A logo type, which would be your marketing, which would print on pens and hats and shirts and things like that. And then a favicon, which is a new word I learned.
Yeah.
It's essentially an icon. So it's not the full logo, but it's an icon for the logo. Imagine you're on our website, your mouse cursor turns into this favicon, and we have a little logo for us. Next steps, staff, we have a nice picture, but we need to come up with a marketing strategy and a brand strategy overall for the airport and what we're going to do with this logo. So we're working internally with that. Jen Starnes has been very helpful with that. We're going to come up with a marketing branding strategy so we can launch this logo here. We'll take to the commission for review and ultimately city council for adoption. Next, I want to highlight Cuesta College's aviation maintenance program and Lloyd's Aviation, who's at the airport, and they have a big maintenance shop out there. So we have Christian Plasencia and EJ Miller. They're both graduates of Cuesta College. Christian was recently featured in the San Luis Tribune about his life as a high school student and how he didn't really know what he was going to do. He ended up in the Cuesta program. Now he's a fully functioning licensed airframe power plant mechanic, works for Lloyd's Aviation. He's been instrumental in helping that maintenance shop earn their Cessna Service Center designation, Rotax Service Center designation, and recently they've become a dealership for de-icing boots. So when you get to altitude, it's cold. These boots will expand and bust the ice off of there. Maintenance shop's doing well. Spoke with the owner this morning. He said you can certainly report that we are running in the black. So that's nice to hear. Building a business over the last 18 months, all new tooling, all new staff, and they're running in the positive. 4th of July, thank you, Linda and her group and the council for everything you guys did on that. I want to highlight some things that we did with the Royal Air Force. That first picture on the left-hand side is them at the 4th of July. Please don't mind the gentleman in the middle, just look on the outside. Those are 2 officers from the Royal Air Force. They're drop zone safety officers. While the Royal Air Force has their main operations in San Luis Airport now, they've split some of their contingency up here in the North County. That's drop zone safety officers, that's the fire service. Because they're operating so much out of Camp Roberts, they wanted to be up here. Also, the older officers like the atmosphere in Paso Robles. They certainly enjoyed being here.
Are they still bringing their golf clubs?
They bring their golf clubs. They frequent the restaurants. So at the airport, though, you can see Warhawk 07. That's their small airframe program. That's been in and out of the airport multiple times a day throughout the entire exercise. That's gone well, and they've gotten diplomatic clearance to bring in the larger airframe, the A400, which has been here before. From what I've been told, the U.S. government doesn't allow foreign militaries just to land anywhere. They must select 3 airports. And then if they want to change, they have to get clearance. So the RF has made that decision to add us to the list when they're on the West Coast, so they can have that diplomatic clearance to land that aircraft. And you can see we've been providing the ground support equipment for them as well. They've been staging out of the airport with the fire trucks, with all their trucks and vans and things to move the troops around. And lastly, I want to highlight or touch on the spaceport request for proposals. Paul, David, and I are working very diligently on this. Yesterday, August 3rd at 5 p.m., the proposal window closed. So we've had a number of proposals turned in. Now we're in that review period where we're going to take those proposals in, rank them, and provide a recommendation to council on the direction to go forward. We do anticipate a September 1 award date for that contract to bring back to council. So moving quickly. With that, happy to take any questions you have.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Questions? Chris
Yeah,
Beal?
that was great. What's the RFP for the spaceport for?
So we have,
Go
let's
back
say
to that.
50 or so percent of the license left to finish. Those are technical portions of the license that we aren't able to do in-house. So we're bringing an engineering consulting firm to finish off those portions for us.
So it's the remainder of the application process for the FAA, right?
Correct, yeah.
And I thought the presentation was helpful. The only other thing I'd like to add is we are all getting lots of questions about what the spaceport is. And I know we had that great meeting, but not everybody's going to go back and watch a 2-hour, joint meeting on YouTube.
Sure.
And so I'm going to elevate my interest in having some sort of kind of community user-friendly FAQ on what it is and what it is not, so that when people Google, they can get to the city website and get good information. Thanks.
Questions on my right? Chris Bouch.
Just a comment, Mark, thank you for including the RAF officers at our 4th of July celebration. They were a riot. They were fun to talk with, to drink with, to eat with. They were just very pleasant, regular, down-to-earth guys. We shared a lot of stories about their neighborhoods, where they grew up and where they're from, and how much they like Paso Robles. So you were right there with us, and it was just a really enjoyable evening. So thank you very much for that.
I mean, I want to say they thanked you guys. They thought the event that the council and everybody put on was amazing. One thing they noted, they felt a sense of honor during the national anthem. They don't get that in the UK, where people stand up at attention, take their hats off.
Wow.
They really respected that.
Oh, nice. Wow. Pro Tem Gregory.
Yeah, Mark, would you ask the city manager if you could take over one of the Friday morning coffees for a presentation on the spaceport?
That would be a good topic. Yeah. I also will share too that over the weekend we had the Lincoln Republican event where Devin Nunes was there, and I spoke with him directly on spaceport. He knew of it briefly and wasn't aware of where we were specifically, so I kind of informed him further on where we are, and actually sent him a link and showed that photo right there. He didn't realize we're an airport our size at all. So he sits on the President's Intelligence Advisory Committee right now. He chairs that, so that was well done. Okay, Mark, thank you. Any questions from public? Dale?
There we go. Dale Guston. I've been a supporter of trying to get Spaceport here since they first indicated we have a chance for it. And of course, Paul and Bill have been working with the FAA, and I think that the city is making good strides in that effort. As it was presented, it's going to hopefully bring some higher paying jobs to the area, which we've got a bunch of empty homes that the average person can't afford. So I hope that happens. On the other hand, you referred to the Royal Air Force. I remember when they used to land here all the time, but then they liked ACI. and you chose to not renew ACI, and I was disappointed because the Royal Air Force really liked ACI.
Anyone else? I do want to compliment, actually, Bill Britton and there he is, Paul Sloan. Those two have been working extremely hard on getting this over the finish line, and appreciate all the work you guys are doing. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay. My name is Elliot Cannon, 405 Fairview Lane. I've been living here in Paso Robles since 2007. I'm a retired 747 captain, and I'm here to talk about one of the most valued assets for a city, for Paso Robles, is the airport. And this is just my observation about why I think maybe things aren't being done. They're not using the airport as well as we could be. I think there should be more things going on here. The airport affects a small percentage of the population, but the city owns the airport. The city gets the money from the airport, and I think there could be more activities going on at the airport. When I first started, my first landing here was in December of 1973 when I was working on my commercial pilot's license. And in 2006, I retired. We decided well, my parents lived in Tuscadero, so I thought, well, I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll just have lunch with them and build some more time. When I retired, we finally decided we'd retire here in Paso Robles. So I thought, great, they got a great airport there. I'll go up there. And 2007, we moved in, and one of the first things I did is I bought an airplane, started flying out of here. But there wasn't much going on, but we used to meet a bunch of pilots at one of the hangars here, and we would talk about the airport and how it could be improved. And one of the things that was brought up was the lack of manpower to maintain the airport properly. I suggested we have a list of volunteers who could maybe help when they needed help. You know, the airport manager could call, and the airport manager would show up at this hangar, these informal meetings, and guy from ACI Jet would show up. And the guy from ACI even suggested that they could possibly be covering these volunteers with their own liability insurance. I don't know how that was going to happen, but nothing happened after that. Then they came up with the Airport Advisory Committee. And I was warned not to go to those meetings by some of the old guys at the airport, and I said, why? They said, well, nothing ever gets done. And well, I'm an old guy myself. I'm not going to let a bunch of old geezers tell me what to do. So I would show up at these meetings only to find out that the head of the Airport Advisory Committee didn't live in Paso Robles. He didn't fly out of Paso Robles. And he had a business in Paso Robles, but he was the head of the Paso Robles Advisory Committee. So then we came up with the Airport Commission, okay? There were a lot of things discussed in the Airport Commission. I finally had to stop going to the meetings because nothing ever happened. A few things did, some did not. I just thought, and it was a more formal meeting. That's it? Okay, all right.
Well, yeah, summarize if you would, Elliot. That's fine.
Okay. Well, anyway, I think there could be more things going on at the airport than there are now. It's a great asset, and there should be more things happening there.
Well, we're certainly working on it. I think that spaceport.
There were people showed up, 2 groups that wanted to open a skydiving, have a drop zone here. As a former skydiver myself, I thought that was a great idea. That never happened. There were 2 gentlemen showed up. They wanted to build a large hangars here to accommodate jets. Never heard from them again. That didn't happen. I asked ACI Jet that they want to build a hangar there. They said yes. That didn't happen. So I've got more stuff here, but
All right.
there's a lot of time.
Let's talk. All right. Thank you, Elliot.
Well, thanks for the street. They finally resurfaced my street.
We're all on a list somewhere. Thank you. Okay. Anyone online, Melissa?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go ahead then and close presentations and move on to general public comment. General public comment, this is the time that the public may address the City Council on items within its purview, but not scheduled on tonight's agenda. Council or staff may briefly respond to statements or questions posed by the public. Please fill out a speaker information card and give it to our city clerk. Upon speaking, you'll have 3 minutes. Those people wishing to speak on any item scheduled on tonight's agenda will be given the opportunity to do so at the time that item is being considered.
Hello, Linda George, 3126 Spring Street. We had a really good week in District 1 with residents. 3126 Spring Street had ACD visit, and it finally resulted in the park being cited, or will be cited soon, for health issues and a leaking sewer. Maggots were seen at the garbage bins, and the last year the park was fixed with HCD park management programs. It's in disarray again. Another infestation of cockroaches was found because of the leaking sewer. 5 units are affected this time. Warren, this is why I loop you in, because we should really notice the new projects coming in this area that there is infestations. Arrive has cockroaches. It was in the paper. So it's taken me 4 years to get HCD to get on board. There's feces that have been found in our bin. Everything is just really terrible. And it's really hard, to live there, knowing that I've lived in nicer areas all throughout the, Bay Area. And so I think it's very imperative that we review our lower and fixed income with regular communications on their habitability issues. So none of them would come out because I live with farm workers. Let's be real. The majority of those 66 spaces are people that are illegal immigrants and farm workers. And so when HCD came, they all ran and hid. Okay, they're scared to even say, hey, I don't want to live with these infestation. Only one came out. But I want to remind the city, as I sent multiple emails, you guys have seen them, Warren has seen them, Chris has seen them, most recently Ms. Hall, that the enforcement of habitability issues belongs with the city attorney. I recently mentioned it to you the other day and you shook your head no, you didn't want to deal with it. Again, it took me 4 years in going to the Capitol to get HCD to act. So our pipes and our sewer systems are in disrepair that the plumbers had gone together and said they're not going to fix them anymore. Okay, so that becomes what I did. I spoke with an eminent domain attorney on Monday. We took an hour consult. So we are really not habitable in our park, okay? And I believe these actions will force our management to stop letting us live in a third world country. Leslie Frazier evaluated our property and recommended the park to restripe and make one part of the driveway one way only. They received the email, but the property manager decided not to do it. So these types of enforcements from the city are necessary, as many battles have I had with the same HCD staff. My neighbors will now have relief from a very nasty infestation. I find it imperative that we keep our pulse on the low-income areas of District 1. It was a long-time victory in the making for us residents, and I ask the attorney needs to stop evading her duties. It was an internal memo as a reminder of the duties based upon AB 548. I ask from this day forth that if any staff, and I'm done, who enters a citizen's home and sees a habitability issue to immediately refer it to the city attorney.
You can summarize.
I'm done.
There you go.
So that's what I wanted to say today. It took me a lot of time, and that property could be taken away, okay, because it is that bad. Thank you.
Dale?
Good evening again, Dale Guston. Linda Prussia and Paul Sloan, I think, are the two most valuable employees you have in this city. No offense to Warren Frank, he's done an excellent job. He's done an excellent job. We stole him from a Atascadero, you remember that. Anyway, Linda, and it goes way back when the seniors were meeting in a facility over there where the police station and fire station are. And when that was torn down, we had to move to Centennial Park. And Centennial Park it just wasn't cutting it for the seniors. And so we found out, and I was on the senior advisory committee, we found out that the vets were going to build on Scott Road. So we decided, okay, that we'll settle for a building there. But the first thing they offered to the seniors was going to be inadequate. So we said, well, here's what we want. How much extras is it going to require, money-wise, to get what we want? And they said $200,000. Well, guess what? We had more than that in our what do they call it? Anyway, our fund for seniors, and that is managed by the city.
Yeah.
And so we got what we wanted, and it's really a nice facility. And Linda's been involved in all of that. She managed it to start with and hired Mickey, and then the other outfit came in with a contract, and I don't know what happened there, but all of a sudden, Mickey says their contract was terminated, and she was going to work for the city. I thought, well, that's great. But then all of a sudden, Mickey says, they're firing me. And I thought, well, that's strange. So then they said, Capslo's taking over. So, well, the city's entitled to, run its facilities the way they think is the best. But last Monday, you had an awful lot of angry seniors who didn't like the way the city went about firing Mickey. And I'm not going to tell you how to run your city, but you sure got a lot of angry seniors.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online, Melissa?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, moving on, we have agenda items to be deferred. Mr. Huat, or do you have something here for Chris?
Well, I'm wondering if it makes sense for Angelica to sort of speak to the issue of the senior advisory and.
Actually, Chris, would you like to handle that one?
I'll do my best, and then I'll have Angelica come up and fill in some gaps. So just want to start off with the fact that I think staff's priority has always been that we wanted to maintain uninterrupted senior center operations while making sure that we're positioning that facility for some expanded service and long-term stability. So I'll run through a quick background, and hopefully it provides context to the comment that was just made. From 2012 to early 2026, the city contracted with a group called Senior Volunteer Services to operate the senior center. In February of this year, the city temporarily resumed direct operations after SVS, Senior Volunteer Services, was no longer able to provide services at the senior center for a variety of different reasons. To make sure that there was continuity in programming and to make sure that the doors stayed open, the lights stayed on, and the programs stayed moving forward, the city retained the two existing part-time senior center employees through a temporary staffing arrangement through a temp agency, while the city went through a process to identify a new operator. So back in March of this year, the city issued an RFP, a request for proposal, to look for a new operator. The city received one proposal, and that was from Capslo. They were the sole respondent and selected based in part on their experience in serving this clientele and administering a wide range of programs that support senior citizens. On June 16th of this year, the City Council unanimously approved the agreement with Capslo, and Capslo will officially assume operations of the senior center on August 17th, although I know they're out there starting this week making that transition. Under that agreement in which the council approved, Capslo has sole responsibility for personnel decisions out at the senior center. The city does not retain any oversight of any sort of recruitment processes there. So any personnel updates, changes, et cetera, were the sole responsibility of Capslo under their contract. In this case, this was an end of a temporary position, and I just want to correct the record that no one was terminated in this case. With that being said, again, we recognize that there is change that's happening both from an operational standpoint and from a staffing standpoint. Ms. Fortin, along with Capslo, has been out at the senior center this week engaging with individuals there through a coffee with Capslo type of series. I think there's another session upcoming, and we'll continue to work with senior center members over the course of the next weeks and months to ensure that their needs are being met. I think we're actually conducting some surveys and doing some engagement work out there now to make sure that as CapSlow ramps up, those programs align with the needs of the individuals at the center. We're excited for what CapSlow is bringing to the table. So I hope that provides some additional context, and I'd be happy to invite Ms. Fortin up to provide additional context.
Chris, to be clear then, it sounds like the two previous employees from the contractor were never employees of the city. They were through a temp agency in the interim.
Yeah,
correct?
That is correct.
And it was CapSlow who made the decision.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Angelica, do you have something to add? Were you good? Okay, all right.
John?
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
Maybe some of the comments that I'm hearing back on this, and thank you for your answers, that was excellent. What it doesn't answer is why the city doesn't operate the senior center directly themselves. I don't know if you were around, I don't think you were, when that SVS took over and began operations, but have you read anything about that and share some with us?
I'm sure Angelica has a little bit more history than I do, being closer to the project, but what I can tell you is through this current transition, the city did evaluate whether or not it made sense for the city to operate the senior center directly. And it really came down to one, a cost issue. We projected that there were some longer-term costs with having both full and part-time city staff members running the center directly. And then two, there's some inherent advantages, in this case, we believe, of having CapSlow in particular operate the facility because they have access to quite a few different services and programs that the city doesn't have that direct access to. And so those are two of the main reasons why I think staff forwarded you the agreement for your approval. But I want to have Angelica chime in as well, just on the question on the history.
The city hasn't operated the senior center since 2012, and that was a cost-saving measure that council took at that time.
So we're still following that same model where we have a contractor running it for the city.
We do, yes.
Right.
So the new operator is CapSlow.
Yeah, I know the previous contractor had some issues and wasn't performing really the way I understand. And there was an agreement between both of us that we separate, but we kept the two employees that were there through a temp agency until we could find some other contractor that could hire them. And
Correct. We were faced with trying to determine how to keep the doors open when the operator could no longer provide services. We don't have the staff on hand to do that. And so we were fortunate enough to be able to retain the employees through the temp agency, but that was, they were directly employed by the temp agency.
And I can say,
Councilman Strong.
I can comment that I've been there through the whole thing. And I run one of the programs there and have been for, close to 40 years. So, I mean, way back since it started. And so I've had to work with all of these people. And the city, at one time, Linda Plesha was actually the manager. And the city did operate it. But then Linda got promoted, and all of a sudden the departments changed a bit. So the library got put together with the recreation division, and they didn't have enough staff to cover this. And the staff would be much more expensive if they were city staff. So we did have a fund for some of the volunteers. So one of the part-time people is paid out of a senior volunteer fund. And that fund is getting low now too. So we're happy to have somebody else with that responsibility. And it's been true since a long time now because we just couldn't handle it.
That's the endowment fund, I think, that Dale was talking about, the senior endowment, right? Yeah, I know it's getting lower. We need to start doing some fundraising, I think, again for that. But anyway, okay, good? All right. All right, Chris, item H, agenda items to be deferred. Do we have anything?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Overview of the items on consent calendar.
Thank you. Unlike last time, we have a shorter consent calendar agenda. We have 5 items on the consent calendar this evening. The first is the approval of the minutes from your July 21st meeting. The item number 2 is the receipt of advisory body minutes. This is for 3 different advisory bodies. The first is the Youth Commission meeting on May 6th. The second is the Parks and Recreation. Good timing, good timing. Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee on the 11th of May, and then the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee also on the 11th of May. Item number 3 is the receipt of the warrant register, and so these are payments made by the city since the last time you met. Total $2.4 million of payments were made. I'd like to note that we had a rather large voided check, and that was a check run issue, and that's related to an item that I'll cover here in just a moment for transactions that exceed $100,000. The first payment is to Granite Construction Company. This is for a change order related to Phase 1 of the Creston Road Improvement Project in the amount of $457,984.91. Another payment to Granite Construction Company. This is for the West Side Fiberized Slurry Project in the amount of $304,990.77. And then lastly, there is a payment to the California JPIA, the city's insurance pool, for our annual liability and work comp programs for the fiscal year. And that comes out of a variety of different funds in the amount of $3,224,106. And as I mentioned earlier, there was a check run issue. This item was actually on the warrant register for your July meeting, but due to that issue, it had to be reissued, and it is before you today. So if anyone's astute looking back at the 2 warrant registers, we're not double paying. It's one payment. Moving on, there are 2 remaining items on the consent calendar. Item 4 is the approval of a resolution that awards a construction contract to West Rock. This is related to the West Side Street repairs that Ms. Esperanza talked about in her capital update. And then item 5 is the approval of an agreement with the County of San Luis Obispo. As you recall, the city receives certain federal community development block grant funds and other federal funds through the CDBG and home programs and the ESA program. And the county is actually the one that administers those programs on behalf of the city. So this agreement allows that administration to continue, which is staff's preferred and recommended method to administer the very tedious requirements of all those funds that we do receive from the federal government for that program. So with that, that concludes the consent calendar. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Watt. Consent items on the calendar tonight are considered routine and do not normally require separate discussion. However, if any member of the council or the public that has any specific questions or wants clarification on any of these 5 items, we will get those answered before the vote is taken. Secondly, any member of the council that wants a full discussion on a particular item, that will cause that item to be pulled from the consent calendar and considered separately at the end of the discussion items agenda tonight. I will now ask the council if they have any questions specifically to 1 through 5. Does the public have anything on consent? Seeing none. Okay, then we'll go ahead and bring the consent calendar back to council for further discussion and or action.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll
Mr.
move
Strong.
approval of consent calendar items J1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Second by Gregory.
Okay, motion by Strong, second by Gregory. Discussion? Okay, we'll call for the question, Melissa.
Councilmember Strong?
Right.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Beal?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on, discussion items. K1, approval of the resolution approving a professional service agreement for the State Route 46 East Airport Road Undercrossing feasibility study. Leslie, you have that item for us?
Presentation. Can you hear
Maybe
me
close.
now?
Yeah, real close.
There we go. Warren and I are going to do a joint presentation, so he's going to kick us off.
Okay.
So we're going to start out with a little bit of history on 46 East, kind of what we've been working on with Caltrans for the last 20 years. So the thing to know about 46 East, the segment between basically US 101 and Wero Wero Creek, That operates under a 1964 freeway agreement that was executed between Caltrans and San Luis Obispo County back in the 1960s before any of this was annexed into the city. And that called for that segment of highway to be improved as a fully controlled access freeway, just like 101 is. Now, that improvement never happened. It's an expressway. It has signals. But Caltrans still considers all those signals, the Buena Vista signal and the Golden Hill signal, to be temporary, and that they'll be replaced with full freeway interchanges in the future. So that's the mindset that Caltrans operates under for this segment of the freeway. So the city has been working with Caltrans to try to accommodate their freeway expectations while also allowing development along the corridor, including Chandler Ranch and the airport area. In 2027, we were in the middle of an EIR and specific plan for the Chandler Ranch project. At that point, we did receive a letter from Caltrans stating that the assumptions for the general plan and for our circulation element vastly underestimated the traffic on 46 East, and that 46 East was going to need to be a 6-lane freeway, that no signal lights would ever be allowed on 46 East, and that a full interchange would be required for Airport Road. That effectively killed the Chandler Ranch specific plan back in 2007, and to date, it has not restarted. So that was the issue that then brought the city finally to the table to work with Caltrans and SLOCOG on some sort of solution to address the Airport Road and traffic issues on 46 East. So that moved into the first step in the Caltrans approval process for a project, which is called a PSR, a project study report. That started around 2008, 2009, and ran through 2014. So the area that we were studying is basically between Golden Hill and Mill Road, Union Road being in the middle. So that was the study area for the PSR. PSR looks at a variety of alternatives. It's supposed to basically vet out preferred alternatives that then can move into a design phase. So the alternatives that were looked at, and these all were at Union Road and 46, were a signal, a 2-lane roundabout, an overcrossing, and a half cloverleaf interchange. So the signal and the roundabout were rejected. There was a formal analysis of both options. Those were found to not operate for a 20-year span, which is the Caltrans requirement for a major highway improvement. The overcrossing and the half cloverleaf were found to be feasible alternatives, and then those moved into the next step in the Caltrans process, which is the PAED process. So that stands for Project Approval and Environmental Document. So that's basically the concept design, and the CEQA process is covered by the PAED. So the PAED looked at the overcrossing, looked at the half cloverleaf, and then staff also asked that they consider potentially an undercrossing at the existing Wero Creek Bridge as a third alternative. So here's what the first alternative looks like. So the blue is the bridge overcrossing, the green is 46, and then the yellow segment would be what we were referring to as New Airport Road. And then the cloverleaf is basically taking those improvements and then adding the on and off ramps, the 70-mile-an-hour half cloverleaf features. So they're basically a phase 1, phase 2 is how those work. And then the alternate 3 was the undercrossing, where we would tuck Airport Road under the existing bridge. Caltrans found that one not to be financially feasible. They never really liked that because it wasn't a full freeway improvement. So this was rejected and did not go through the PAED approval process. And with that, so alternate 1, 2, those were approved with the PAED. Alternate 3 wasn't part of the PAED. I'll turn it over to Leslie.
So in 2018, a significant milestone was achieved when an alternative was selected. Can you guys hear me okay? Not very well. Let's see, is that better? Oh, there we go. So in 2018, a significant milestone was achieved when an alternative was selected. And from a visual perspective, the overcrossing, it's a very impressive design. However, as the project advanced, challenges did become apparent. And in this particular project, those challenges directly translated to very, very significant cost increases. The problem, the primary challenge with the overcrossing, is that once a vehicle crosses over the highway, what happens to the road after? In the picture, what happens beyond the overcrossing? Where is the destination? Where is the road leading to? In the original design, shown in yellow, it was not very comprehensive. The overcrossing connected Union Road to Tractor Way, but we needed to go much further north and much further east to connect to the northeast quadrant of the city. In reality, the overcrossing project was just one piece of a larger transportation project. The project, it's not just one bridge, it's actually two. We need one bridge over SR 46, and we need another bridge over the Wero Creek to connect to our planned future development.
So this map on the screen is the area we refer to as the tech corridor at a staff level. Basically, it's the area from Cuesta College up to the airport. Most of this is zoned for commercial and industrial development. Almost half of it's currently undeveloped. So there's probably almost 2,000 acres of development potential, which is almost unheard of within city limits for a coastal city. So there's tremendous potential. Just you can see the Boys School project kind of there in the middle. That's 1.7 million square feet, and that's just a tiny fraction of the overall project area. So you have a huge potential resource here, but it's all dependent on the infrastructure and the new airport road corridor. So to unlock that potential, we need some sort of solution to Airport Road.
And as I mentioned with the overcrossing project, the challenges resulted in significant cost increases. Between the overcrossing, the Wero Creek Bridge, and the connector road, the total anticipated construction project cost is $150 million. And the city has put forth a tremendous effort to secure funding. We've done a number of things. However, the project still remains unfunded today of $150 million. So we're at a crossroads. We have a very expensive project, and the project remains unfunded. However, we can look to a recent success story for a strategy moving forward. Just north of Paso Robles is the Welsona Undercrossing Project, located at Highway 101 and Welsona Road intersection. Now, 2 years ago, the intersection was an at-grade crossing, just like we see along SR 46 and Union Road today. And now I'm going to show you a picture of what that intersection looks like today. It's grade separated. It's an undercrossing, meaning that what we're seeing is that Highway 101 is above, and the picture's taken on the undercrossing portion, looking under Highway 101. This was a Caltrans project that was recently completed in March of 2026. And from beginning to end, beginning of design to end of construction, took approximately 6 years. Construction was 17 months total. Now, the undercrossing at Welsona has a lot of similarities to what we see at SR 46 today. There are safety concerns. There are dangerous turning movements onto high-speed segments of the highway. But there is one major difference between the two projects, and that is the cost. Whereas our cost, we're looking at tens of millions of dollars. The Welsona Undercrossing project was constructed for approximately $12 to $13 million. And because we have a local and comparable success story, and because the undercrossing was a concept in the Caltrans 2016 PEAD process, and because we want to advance our goals out of the airport and our future development, we've identified 3 alternative locations where we can investigate and evaluate if an undercrossing is feasible. So what we see on the screen is SR 46, And note where the existing Caltrans bridge is over the Wero Creek. One potential alignment is shown in red, west of the Wero Creek Bridge. So I'm going to flip back one slide. So imagine if we have that undercrossing, right where the red alignment would be. That's what the feasibility study would be analyzing. Then moving further east in the green alignment, to note, we are not studying the green alignment as part of the feasibility study. This was part of the Caltrans 2016 PAD process. There has already been an evaluation and feasibility of this alternative, and we did not see a benefit to reanalyzing work that had already been completed. But it is out there, and we wanted to be transparent and show that on the graphic here today. Then moving further east, shown in purple, we have two potential locations, one at Airport Road and then one a little bit further east. And before we even do the study, we've identified a number of benefits we think will come out of the feasibility study. Not only use of existing city right-of-way along either Airport Road or Paso Robles Boulevard, but the primary one to note here is that we anticipate that we will see significantly lower costs than the current project we see today. Now, this is a project that involves SR 46, and any project that involves SR 46 will go through the Caltrans process. So what you see on the screen is the potential critical path, and this is the Caltrans process. With the undercrossing, we're on the left-hand side of the screen with the feasibility study. However, as much as I'd like to give you a timeline to get from the left side of the screen all the way to the right, I have to be transparent that this project just takes time. The Welsona undercrossing project went from left to right on the screen in 6 years. But that project was designated by Caltrans as a safety project, and I can't guarantee that we will receive that same designation. However, much of the feasibility study, because we are looking at multiple alternatives, can also be utilized in the project study report, and potentially even a portion of that can help with the PAED, so that will help with the schedule. But my goal is that through this study, and with the recent success story that we see over at Welsona, that a cost-effective alternative will rise to the top, and we can finally begin moving forward with the grade separation project. The recommendation from staff tonight is to approve Resolution 26XXX, awarding a professional services agreement to Wallace Group in the not-to-exceed amount of $356,583 for preparation of the State Route 46 East Airport Road undercrossing feasibility study. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. We'll open up then with the questions from council. Anyone? Chris Bausch.
Thank you, Leslie. And Warren, can you go back to the slide that says SR 46 undercrossing, the map? There you go. So we still have a bridge at Wero up on the top right. Describe that bridge for us, and what's that, any guesstimate on the cost? Is it still going to be $60 million?
We would anticipate that the cost would be significantly less than $60 million. The current bridge cost further north that crosses the Wero is the $60 million bridge. However, that is a much longer span. It's at a much higher elevation. The location of the bridge shown in blue mimics the previous location of the Wero Creek Bridge.
That's the old original.
The old original one. It's at a much narrower section of the creek, and therefore we anticipate it to be at a reduced cost than $60 million. But that's why we go through the feasibility study, to give us a rough order magnitude cost.
Right.
It's like you want the answer at the end, at the beginning.
Pay for it, yeah, it's not for free. I get it. Thank you, Leslie.
That would be similar in design, probably in cost, to what we're doing on South Vine, correct, Leslie?
It may be similar, but that would be vetted out through the feasibility study.
And what's the South Vine? I'm just curious. What is that projected as? It's less than 20,000, or 20 million, excuse me, isn't it? Chris?
I'm going to look to right. I believe it's about 25.
Is it gone up?
For the entire project. And then I believe the bridge is somewhere in what, the $17 million, $18 million range. Deedus may have.
Yeah, all right, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Councilman Strong.
Yeah, I'm still wondering, that will really congest Airport Road. If all that traffic just goes up Airport Road. And we don't have any other alternative routes. And I'm suggesting that we have a lot of the city that has to go way around just to get to that Airport Road location. Whereas we also have right up there near the new, I'll call it the new Trader Joe's. Okay, in that area, we've got that crossroad right there that Trader Joe's backs up to, that goes across toward the airport also, and it goes out through a industrial area, and then onto the Erskine Ranch, where there is a very short bridge up to Airport Road. That is the old bridge that we had many, many years ago, that merely has to be constructed at the narrowest point of the entire Guerrero Creek.
That's where this is.
That's the blue one.
Yeah.
That would be the little one.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Okay. So can that be included as a second part of the study?
That part is included. So not only are we studying the undercrossing, but we're studying the full scope of the transportation project. It'll include the undercrossing as well as the associated bridge.
Okay.
So we'll want a total
So you're looking
cost
at
of the project.
both.
So it's everything in red and everything in blue and everything in
Yeah,
purple.
because what I'm looking at is, if you go take that road out towards Custer College, it serves all of that area out there by the old, that whole north area.
Yeah, so the feasibility study will include alignments, evaluations, and cost estimates for everything shown in red. Whoops. There we go. Everything shown in red, everything shown in blue, and everything shown in purple.
Okay.
It does not include the green.
So we're not excluding those at all.
Correct. Everything in red, everything in blue, and everything in purple.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense.
So you see a full picture.
Okay.
And
Full
you see a
analysis.
full total cost of the project.
Excellent, thank you.
And Mayor and Council, if I could add too, this illustration is meant to provide, kind of a concept of what would be studied. The precise location, say, of that blue bridge or the precise location of the red undercrossing there, may shift as the feasibility study progresses based upon comments from Caltrans and other interested stakeholders. So this is meant, we're not looking at this precise alignment, if that makes sense. The bridge may shift here or there. So this is not the end all be all right here.
Exactly. This is a schematic. It was not based on engineering design. The feasibility study would be providing us the input so we could really dial in a better alignment.
Councilman Beal.
Great, thank you. It sounds there's been a lot of work that has gone into this over the years. Wallace has done a lot of different things. Sounds like they've been involved with sort of assessing bridge locations. Can anyone just talk about that a little bit, about what's involved with that and what are things that you consider? Is that
well,
too detailed?
Well, I don't know, Ethan, from Wallace, if you want to take that question.
Good evening, Council. My name is Ethan. I work for Wallace Group. It's a pleasure to be here. We, as part of this study, are starting with an analysis of the creek itself. We want to look at the flood modeling, the hydraulics, to inform the bridges that you see in this schematic and see how long do they have to be, rough order of magnitude, how high do they have to be. We'll be looking at the placement of them longitudinally along the creek itself as well. So we will be getting into the location of those.
Okay. And then, let's see. Yeah, the thing I'm having a hard time getting my head around is that each of the pieces are so connected. So just like you opened up, like the location of the undercrossing is connected to whatever other routes you're going to take, and they all influence each other in terms of, you know, circulation and dispersing traffic, and they have different implications. So on one hand, we're sort of looking at where to put potentially where an undercrossing could go. But in addition, it is so inherently tied to all of these other decisions. And we have the city has a lot of right-of-way in this area, right? Is that correct? A lot?
Yeah, so part of the feasibility study is to do exactly what you're trying to, think through in your mind. Is the study will evaluate right-of-way, environmental impacts, geotechnical impacts. It'll evaluate alignment. It'll evaluate cost. And the benefit of the feasibility study and looking at several alternatives is it'll put together all the pros, all the cons, all the benefits, all the challenges, so we can list these out and look at each collective alternative holistically to make a good decision.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, Leslie, I would like to kind of understand who's got their mic on, I guess.
Is it the hand here?
Yeah, I'm just curious on. Are we a little too loud, Melissa? Okay, the part I'm having trouble with is how we came up with these other alternatives. In other words, the purple lines to the east of Warrow, the existing airport road, and the other solid line there. Why are we studying those locations when I think technically we all know that the least expense to solve our connection would be to use existing right-of-way, so we already have? What was the reason for getting that included into this study?
Yeah. So Ethan may be able to speak to the specific locations, but before I hand the mic over, I can speak to the benefits of looking at multiple alternatives instead of just going with one predetermined alternative moving forward and just looking at one. I think that there's benefits to going through a city process, and then there's also benefits going through a Caltrans process. The benefits to the city, like I mentioned, is there will be right-of-way impacts with any of the alternatives, some more, some less, but being able to collectively look at a map and determine what those right-of-way impacts are. There will also be environmental impacts, cost impacts, constructability impacts. So in the red alignment, the constructability and how we close the highway down with Caltrans is much more difficult than if we were to select the pink alignment. And just based on traffic control alone may increase the cost of the red alignment. But we don't know, and that's why we are recommending that we go through the feasibility report. So like on SR 46, if we're working on the eastbound lanes and we close that off, we just can't close the traffic. We just can't stop traffic, right? So there's some constructability issues and construction costs to compare, but that's advantages on just the city process of going through that process, looking at the pros and cons, and making an informed decision. But there's also benefits to looking at multiple alternatives with Caltrans as well. One, I'm going to go back to the schedule. So with the Caltrans process and the alternatives that we're including in our feasibility study today, and this is probably the most important reason why we should be looking at several alternatives, is that the alternatives we look at through the feasibility today will help us in the future Caltrans process. They can take those same alternatives and look at the project study report and potentially even help us with the PAD. So it will help to expedite the Caltrans process if we already have those alternatives in place. I'd also mention that there is value in bringing Caltrans along in the feasibility study. We met with Caltrans last week, had a field visit to see the undercrossing locations so they could really understand what the challenges are with the overcrossing and the expense and what's driving up the cost of the overcrossing and why we should really consider the undercrossing as a feasible alternative. Having them out on site to understand the challenges and the benefits was very valuable. We also have a commitment from Caltrans to meet on a monthly basis. They've committed to providing design input and feedback through this process. So the alternative that does rise to the top, they will be part of that process, and we feel that that's very valuable to have. And just lastly, I'd recommend that having, Caltrans is a stakeholder in this, having their engagement throughout the process then could also potentially help us with grant applications because we've checked that box as well. But the primary reason to study different alternatives really comes down to the critical path and the Caltrans process. But as far as the exact location of the purple alignment, I may hand that over to Ethan.
Yeah, okay, let's listen to that. Hang on.
The red and the purple were both pulled from previous studies of this general area. The 46 East parallel route study 10 years ago or so, and the circulation element also are showing these spider webs as options. Some have come and gone as time has gone by, but we're trying to hold some previous thoughts that have been put into this general area and evaluate those all together for this one.
I'm just worried a little bit about purples, even studying that based on our right-of-way on existing airport road. We don't have enough width, plus the east purple solid line, we've got great issues there, and we don't own the property. So there's, to me, we'll discuss this afterwards, but I'm just wondering why that was included in this study when we could have conserved, I think, the study's cost to get answers that we really need. And my other question to Leslie was Caltrans receptive when you were out there talking to them about our idea here?
Absolutely.
You bet, because we just saw it happen 5 miles north of us. And
Yes.
the cost and the speed that got done was amazing.
Yeah, and it was actually Caltrans's, it was their idea to come up for a field visit. And they brought about 10 staff members total to come up, spent several hours with Warren and I out there. And then for our next meeting that I was planning to have virtually, they said, no, actually, let's have an in-person meeting. So very much they're taking a proactive role. Not only are they wanting to meet in person, but they're providing the resources like our as-builts, getting us links that we need, saying, hey, do you, ideas of what might help facilitate our process. They're the ones bringing the information up to us. So we've been appreciative. I would also like to mention with the purple alignment, there is also value. The money won't be wasted. There is value in studying the purple bridge over the Werowero Creek. That can be used to assist with future development and, opening up that area at Mill Road. That is a council goal as well.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
there is value in that as well. That's not the primary reason why we're doing it, but if we study the purple bridge and then we end up going with the red alignment, that's valuable in and other community development endeavors that we have.
Okay. Councilman Strong, I know you've been waiting.
Yeah, I'm concerned about one other thing, and that is that we have eliminated any consideration for Union Road. And the reason that I'm saying that is the elevation change between Union Road and Airport Road is significant. And that's why when we were looking at the bridge going from down here, actually right down by Sporting Shores Park, all the way up to Airport Road, the cost was just 10 times what it is after going Union Road. And that's going to be an uphill tunnel going under there.
So is the question could the red alignment be shifted further west over to Union Road? Is that the concern?
Yeah, I'm saying Union Road is at a significantly lower elevation than Airport Road. And if you just look at what's in between, you can see it. It's a problem. I know it's an undercrossing, but it's undercrossing it has to start somewhere down here.
Sean,
Okay.
let the engineers figure that out.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay, all right.
Councilman Bell.
And I would say for the red alignment, I mean, what Wallace will be studying is anywhere between Union Road and the existing bridge. So what's shown on the screen isn't just the only location they'll be looking at.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. One of the things that came up during the 221 is what is the viability of perhaps 2 undercrossings? And I bring that up again. I am concerned, it's been a major concern of a lot of people as far as emergency exit. In the event of a seismic event or event down at Diablo, how do we get out of Paso Robles if we need to? By having 2 undercrossings and hopefully access, maybe one to the west to connect with 101 North, and then an eastern undercrossing that would allow egress to the east. I believe, I don't know if it's possible, I have no idea what that would cost, but I would like that to continue with all of those options in the event that we somehow might be able to afford to build those in the future. We don't know until we ask.
All right. And with the feasibility study, we'll have costs associated with all 3 alternatives. So if we want to pick one now and one later, that would be.
I mean, to the mayor's point, it may be cost prohibitive to do that, but I think the study is a lot less expensive than the actual acquisition cost. So study it now while we can.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Pro Tem Gregory?
Let's go to public.
Okay. Good. All right, let's stand by, Leslie. We'll open up then the public for any public comment on this item. Please come forward. Welcome, Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom Erskine, 3001 Paso Robles Boulevard. I think what you want to first
Yeah.
ask yourself.
Talking to the microphone.
Yeah, our microphones
think-
are not really working.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
I think what you first want to ask yourself, do you want to wait 6 years to get the airport developing? And that's what they said this study will take. So what I would propose is if you get a consensus on where the bridge should be located, and it's quite obvious the old city founders built the bridge in the proper place, maybe do a 2-phase study. Get the bridge going. I've offered all the right-of-way you need to get to Cuesta College. You don't have to buy anything. You just got to study it to design. Do you want a roundabout at Downs? And then make the second study the undercrossing. That way you can get going on the bridge, get it designed, get a cost, and try to figure out how you can get the funding. I think some funding will open up because you'll be able to get some development going. So that's my suggestion. And as far as the bridge, any right-of-way you need, I will dedicate to the city at no cost.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Welcome, Sharon.
Hello, Council. Sharon Roden, Paso Robles. I'm speaking as a private citizen. First of all, ditto. Maybe Mr. Erskine needs to be put in charge of designing this deal. I'm not aware of what it takes to put this study together, but it seems like it's awfully expensive. And especially if it doesn't include right-of-way, which I understand Mr. Erskine has already offered property for it. I'm not speaking out of turn, am I?
No, that's what he said.
That's what he said. Waiting on grants from Caltrans, we've been through this cycle. We've also had them pulled out from under us. And we don't need to close down the highway. They didn't close down Highway 101 to do the underpass and build the bridge. So we don't need to close down the highway.
Not completely, anyway.
Pardon?
Not completely, anyway.
Not completely.
Yeah.
No, you could still pass through.
Yeah.
And when Caltrans talks about this being a 6-lane road with overpasses in the future, I plan on living to be about 120. You aren't going to get it done in my lifetime. Warren laughed at that. But, you know, it took almost 60 years to get the 4-lane done. In my lifetime, it was before then, of course, but I'd like to get a definitive. I think this council can give direction on where we think the best solution would be. I think we have people on the council who are very much aware of the topography and of the ownership of that property and what would work best for this city. And I think we need to move on that. We're just spinning circles doing this stuff time after time after time. And, you know, 6 years is too long to wait for it. Now, I understand I don't move that fast either, but I think we have enough good people in this city that we can work this out and get it done a lot quicker. And the purple part, that would have been great if we'd done that 20 or 30 years ago, but that's beyond our means now. We can't afford to spend $150 million on anything, and we ought to have common sense to realize that. And don't keep harping on it, but find other solutions and move along.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have anyone online?
Yes, sir. Linda George.
Okay. Linda, can you hear us? Go ahead.
Hi, this is Linda George. I hope you can hear me. First of all, Leslie and Warren, congratulations on getting the incredible collaboration with Caltrans, not only just on Zoom, but willing to meet with you, be out there for hours, and to develop this project. My question is different. Why are we not looking at 46 and 101 as you guys are looking at this? I don't have any complaints, Leslie. I read your report. You did a fantabulous job, Warren. It's well explained. And my God, 6 years is fast for Caltrans. When I lived in Hollister in 2019, I moved here. I mentioned it to you guys a few times ago, 25 and 101. It took them 5 years to get their overpass, and they are very happy people with the roundabout on 156. I just sang there on Sunday. So I think 6 years is fantabulous, you know, and if there's any other ways that we can get more money out of local assistance or anything like that, trust me, I did that job. It is there. We rebuilt the Bay Bridge with local assistance money, okay, when I worked in Oakland. So I think you guys did a wonderful job. It's very, very important to have options. Because what if when the Wallace Group and everybody does the study and they say exactly what the council is saying, this ain't going to work, that ain't going to work. But options are very imperative when you're going to make the foundation of a new vein and the way that people travel. There needs to be a lot of outlets there as much as possible But what I foresee happening is 46 and 101 backing up all the way, maybe even down to Tin City. And what I notice when it is backed up, at least a mile from the 46 101, people want to just start sitting on the shoulder, like I've mentioned. And I am going to call CHP and talk to them about that, because I think that's far more dangerous. But I would like to know, I know Mr. Strong mentioned in the past that's been on, you know, the calendar or whatever, but I want to know if we can do all of this at the same time, because this will be beautiful when it's done in 6 years, but what happens to the bottleneck on 46 and 101 that takes us all the way back to even possibly Target if it goes that far? So I'm wondering if we can't get that done simultaneously. And since SlowCog didn't have any of this shovel ready, I read that in the report. I'm curious what SlowCog decided back in whatever. So I find SlowCog to be kind of a failure in this situation too. But those are my questions, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else, Melissa?
No, sir. Oh,
Okay, we'll
wait, we just got another caller in.
Okay,
It looks like it's Michael Rivera.
okay. Michael, can you hear us? Go ahead.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. I appreciate the efforts that are being done for this study. However, I want to ask you a question. You know, this is obviously going to be a huge lift and an expensive project. My concern is that we've got a lot of needs in this city, especially when it relates to traffic and getting where the development is happening on the east side of Paso Robles to the west side, so that people can go to work, can travel, get downtown, etc. And it doesn't seem like we have the same priorities to deal with people's lives right now as we speak, going forward, that are dealing with a lot of traffic and congestion, and it's going to increase significantly once Chandler Ranch and Beechwood get developed. You know, I understand we're going to grow, but prioritizing how we grow and where we grow is going to be important, because people that actually live here right now and are expecting their city leaders to plan for their best interests doesn't seem to be a high priority here. I get that you want to create jobs and other things, but those are long-term goals. And we have short-term needs here that I don't really see being aggressively addressed. There's a time and a place for everything. I think we're way over our skis with a lot of things in this city, infrastructure being a main one for the people that already live here. And I think that we need to take a deep breath, think about where we're going and how we're going to get there. This $150 million projected cost, by the time this thing gets done or gets even ready to get built, is probably going to be $200 million. So why don't we look at policies and priorities going forward that's going to affect the people that live in this city right now? So with that being said, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll bring it back to council for further questions, discussion, and or action. The thing I'd like to start off with real quick, I know Pro Tem Mary, let me get this out. My druthers here is that we have a bird in the hand with the airport property that is in the city that we want to develop. The purple lines are indicating that there's another possibility to county properties to the east that we don't have in our city. Plus, the purple lines are going to require not only the Ware Road Bridge there, but another bridge, undercrossing, that I think will not really get us back onto 46. So I'm just curious, what the rest of the council's thinking here. But to me, I think we should basically be focusing west of where for any kind of project study here? Pro Tem Gregor.
Sure. Okay, well, I was being quiet for a reason because I have a lot to say, and I'll make it quick. If you take a look at the potential critical path, that document, it's going to take us 6 years to get anywhere on that, which is okay for the undercrossings. The problem we have today is our demand for Airport Road is now. We can't wait anymore. We've already tried to work with Caltrans. I'm not saying not work with Caltrans, but get them involved. But we need to make this study a little bit different. And I'm going to make a recommendation that we bifurcate or separate the Ware crossing north of 46 to look at in a faster time period so our council can evaluate if that's really and truly feasible. Because if it is, it solves a lot of problems. It solves our access to Golden Hill through Wisteria. It solves the red or the green option because it can be worked either way. And if we do the bridge now, we can continue to study the red and the green crossing. You already have the feasibility on the green, the idea of the red crossing like the Welsona crossing, which, by the way, I was involved with very deeply. I'm friends with the owner of the fuel station. And we saw that develop. And as that came along, that's a brilliant idea on the red. But more important on the ideas of this feasibility study is to be feasible about what we need right now. We have a huge demand coming at us at the airport. We've got Marketplace waiting to come online. We need that bridge at Ware. These other options are fine to look at, but I think we should, as a council, take the feasibility part of this study and look at the blue Ware crossing, analyze it, and get back to us in 3 or 4 months. Then continue to look at the red and whatever else you guys want to look at. I'm not really fond of the purple. I think the red has the most potential. But you have to all keep in mind, Caltrans is not our friend. They're not going to give us any money. And they've done nothing but roadblock us since 2010 when we started this whole thing. And I don't want to be combatant. What I want to do is I want to be smart as a Paso Robles, get it done our way in a timely manner. If you put the blue bridge in, you get to phase 2 on Airport Road for Marketplace and the other development coming towards us. If we put this off into a feasibility study and wait another 6 years, you're going to piss off investors, you're going to push people away. We have a bridge crossing that's got a known entity and success. The design that Warren and staff came up with into the turnaround and the roundabout that goes onto Erskine's property is great because we still have the green and the red options. And we have a property owner willing to donate and dedicate the property to us. The dedication part of it's worth a lot. Anyway, I'll say one thing. Time is money. And I am tired of looking at studies that Caltrans just sort of throws us in the trash can, set up, and we're not going to compete with all the urban areas because we don't have enough people here. The way we compete with people is do it ourselves. Be the Paso Roblans that we all want to be. Put the bridge where we know it works. Study that first to make sure that Wallace can make it work for us. And then bifurcate the other studies separately. I think the red has a great capacity to get done, and I think it's a wonderful idea. But right now, I think we ought to try to get to a point where we can all agree on maybe starting on the Blue Bridge for feasibility, come back with the other feasibilities at the next meeting or next couple meetings. And I don't know anybody in the development world at the airport that wouldn't be in favor of getting the Ware done now. And we have the information. You know, we started out with one up by, Dry Creek, and it was just an abomination because it was so big. Here's something that we've used in the past. Let's go for it and get it done. And then if the feasibility is there, let's start putting the money and funding, the excess funding that you're doing such a good job on saving money on this feasibility study, put that towards the building design of this bridge and let's get going. And that's what I'm going to say. I have nothing wrong with your study. I'm talking about timing and success and the future of Paso Robles. The airport is our future. Marketplace is waiting on us. The airport's going to be waiting on us. We need to get on that bridge now. That's my comment.
Councilman Sproul.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to, oddly enough, somewhat agree with what you're saying. And have a question of Wallace. What would be the cost of the study if we eliminated the purple option? We eliminated the airport road option and just went with the Union Road option.
I don't know if they'll be able to answer that right now, but.
Well, would it be significantly less?
No, it wouldn't, just removing the purple alternative from the red, it's not that it would cut.
What's that?
It's not that it would cut the cost in half. It's not aggregate like that. There's studies that are needed for both. So a really good example is the hydrology and the hydraulics in Ware Creek. That study is needed for whether you pick the red alternative or whether you pick the purple alternative. You've got to pay for the study.
Well, I'm saying we still eliminate the Union Road crossing. We don't look at the Union Road undercrossing, okay? When I say the Union Road, I mean the old, I'll call it the Ware Creek undercrossing.
The blue option.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We don't look at that one. We don't look at Airport Road. We do look at Union Road undercrossing, which has a very quick direct connection and still gives us the undercrossing we need. While we still can proceed immediately with the blue, which already exists.
Okay. Councilman Strong. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Chris.
You can't mix this up.
I guess, no, I know,
no
but just thinking of Fred's comments there.
To Councilmember Strong's point, then I have a couple of other questions. So either the red line for Union Road undercrossing, when it goes north to the roundabout, does it have to cross the Ware or tributary? What is that right now? Is that Paso Robles Road that we're looking at?
Yes, the red alignment goes underneath SR 46.
Right.
It stays west of Ware Creek.
Right.
And then when it turns
Right
into.
there, is that the road?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then the intent would be that we would use the existing right-of-way in Paso Robles Boulevard. I know that schematically got a little crazy, but the intent is that we use the right-of-way that we have. And then the blue alignment then goes further north and east, and then that blue bridge is where it crosses Ware Creek.
Right. Well, so either way, we need that bridge, so I think that's good. All right, to my questions. I heard a couple different comments. How long will the study take? What's the anticipated completion?
It's anticipated at 6 to 9 months.
6 to 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
So not the 6 years that we heard
No,
earlier.
the 6 years was the full, that was the Wellsona. 6 years came from Wellsona because they got the safety project designation.
Okay.
But the full Caltrans process would be related to the undercrossing only because Caltrans permits anything in Highway 46 right
so
away.
what we're just-
But the bridge
Right.
is not connected to Caltrans, and so that would be permitted differently.
Okay.
You got
But tonight we're
EIRs
talking
too,
about
yeah.
the study is what we're discussing tonight.
Yes, tonight
All
we're
right, so
talking
let's not
about the
get too
6
ahead of
to,
ourselves.
yeah,
Right.
tonight it's the 6 to 9 months for the feasibility study. And the feasibility study is looking at the undercrossing and the Ware Bridge.
Right.
And just keep in mind, it's not that it studies the undercrossing for 4 months and then it turns to the bridge. They actually happen at the same time. So they'll be working on the undercrossing and the bridge at the same time.
Right.
The critical path for the bridge, and Councilmember Gregory, I heard the importance of time and schedule. The critical path for the bridge, whether it's blue or purple, is that hydrology and hydraulics analysis. That's a completely independent path of what's going on with the undercrossing. So the study on both infrastructure improvements are going to be happening at the same time.
So I was looking at Wallace's website. You guys have a lot of people that work there in a lot of different departments. So it's not one or two engineers working on the entire, you're going to divide this up and bring it back together in a comprehensive package.
Yes,
So hence we can
exactly.
do it in a 6 to 9 month time frame.
They have different engineering expertise,
Right.
working on, one department will be working on the retaining wall, one department will be working on right-of-way, one department will be working on survey, one department will be working on hydrology.
So that segues into my next question. Will the study encompass the estimated cost of right-of-way acquisition?
The study will identify what right-of-way is needed.
Needs to be acquired.
Needs to be
but not the
acquired,
cost.
and then, working with the city, then it won't determine the cost of the
Okay.
right-of-way.
Next question. Could this money for the study, I think it's $357,000, could that money be instead spent on road improvement, road repair, or is that a different pot of money?
No, exactly. So this study is being funded through transportation impact fees, and that cannot be used for road repairs. It needs to be used for development, and vice versa. We are not taking money that could be used on maintenance. We are not taking that money for this study. It's independent.
And similar question, clarification, the overcrossing, the bridge that had been estimated at $150 million, that is essentially off the table. That's not being considered at this point?
That's not part of the undercrossing study. That is a separate Caltrans slow cog project, and it is, I don't know, Chris, if you want to take that.
Yeah, I can jump in there and provide some clarification. So up until this point, we have been progressing on that project. We've gotten to a point where the cost increases are such that the city in and of itself is not capable of funding that project. Our efforts over the last several years with Caltrans and others, there's support out there. We built a strong stakeholder group for an overcrossing. The funding has not come through. As Leslie showed earlier, we've spent a significant amount of staff time and hired a specialized grant writer, hired a transportation lobbyist, all to create a very coordinated, robust process to obtain funding for the overcrossing. Unfortunately, that has just not come to fruition for a variety of reasons. So we're here today saying that we have significant vision for the airport, significant visions for the surrounding properties. We have an economic development strategic plan that identifies several initiatives that are dependent on a grade separation somewhere in this area. And we as staff and myself, as part of this internal evaluation, could no longer continue to try to push the gas pedal down on overcrossing, especially in light of the Wellzona project, seeing what that improvement looked like, what it cost, understanding that an undercrossing in Paso Robles will likely be more than that. But we do believe it's much less than $150 million. While I have the mic, if I can, just very quickly, just maybe point out two other things. One, Leslie alluded to it, but studying multiple alternatives potentially helps expedite the environmental process, because Leslie can probably chime in, and maybe the team from Wallace, but we'll likely have to look at multiple alternatives in an environmental process. The second thing is that while addressing connectivity to Golden Hill is a great first step, I think we all recognize the benefits of that. The cumulative development at the airport that is happening now and will happen in the future is going to demand a grade separation. And at some point, development will have to stop until a solution is identified and built. And, Warren and the team, please chime in if I'm misstating that.
Yeah, so we've been studying Airport Road in detail for the last 6 years with the landing project. So we've done multiple versions of EIRs, 5 or 6 different traffic studies. They've all concluded the same thing, that the only viable solution for build out of the Airport Road, including the landing project, is a grade separation. You can't fix it with a signal. You can't fix it by sending everybody to Golden Hill. You need an overcrossing or an undercrossing.
So just finish my last point here. We talked, and John, you made a really good point about, and Steve, about the airport needing some kind of traffic capacity increase. And that's really based on anticipated growth and acceptance and build out of the spaceport. That's still a work in process, and I think we all have faith that that's going to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. What has happened already is the approval of 4,500 homes out on the east side. Those are being built. I can tell you as a 40-year resident that the traffic impact along Creston and Niblick and Charlet and South River Road is horrendous. It's not a future problem. It's a problem now that's only going to be exacerbated as we build more homes out there, and we need to build more homes out there. No question about it. But I see that purple option as probably the best solution to help alleviate the congestion that's happening. So people can exit down Airport Road from the east side. That gives another option. Instead of coming over Creston Road, over Niblick Bridge, we need that purple option. Whether we can afford to build it, whether Caltrans will approve it, whether the hydrology will allow that bridge, nobody knows until we study it. But I'm here to tell you, we absolutely need this study and all of it. I like the idea of accelerating the bridge if that's possible. That's a call by Wallace, but go ahead and accelerate that if you think that'll help. But don't give up on the people on the east side because we need to build something for the spaceport. We have residents that are clamoring for this now.
I hear you on that, Chris. The only thing with your purple line and the connection to Lene Road area, you got Chandler Ranch, a big section that has to be bought and paid for, and plus a bridge over Ware here, and then connections getting back onto 46. I think it's good. That's originally what we were talking about. Remember our circle that went around past Robles over to 46 West? That was kind of the thought many, many years ago, 20 years ago, and it never penciled. And I don't think that would pencil right now. Again, to Gregory's point, we have a bird in the hand with the airport that can be brought higher and faster if we were to study a more direct route, which we already know our forefathers definitely figured it out before. My question to, with the Wallace Group, there was already a bridge there. And I mean, we should have some sort of studies on record somewhere about that bridge. Same way with the overpass at Union Road, the PSR that we already have completed. And I don't know how many millions we spent on that. There gotta be some data there that we already have in our hand that we pay for, that Wallace can pull in. And my point here, I'm thinking, I would like to put this off for a decision and have staff get back with Wallace to give us another idea of what it could be, what it would look like if we stayed basically on the west side, just for discussion. What's the cost going to be if we stay on the west side of Ware with a bridge going to airport? I don't think we have enough information here really as council to make a decision, but I'm just throwing that out for discussion.
I thought we were in a big hurry. Time's of the essence. Now we can afford to wait.
Well,
and just to mention
a week
that,
or two. Yeah.
Whatever we study now can be used later, but we will eventually need to study other alternatives to go through the Caltrans process.
I almost was going to ask you, start putting price tags on every one of those other bubbles, and I think we're going to get sticker shock. We've already done this once with the overpass, same process. We're already at the construction end. We've already done the design. Everything has been done and paid for the overpass. And we're seeing that, that whole project's got to be, somewhere in the 150 million range. And that's just totally out of our league. I would like to get that same appraisal or that same thought on what it would be just to focus on a more narrow scope versus all the other that we're talking about. I like the purple, but the point is staying focused on what we want to try to accomplish with the airport.
I guess the concern is that if we get to the project study report or the PAED where Caltrans will require the alternatives, and we haven't done the due diligence now, and we have to pay to look at the alternatives at a later phase, and then Caltrans chooses a different alternative, it just seems like there's value to doing that now.
Yeah.
Because we will have to do it later.
I know. Yeah.
And we can make a more informed decision now.
Another quick question I wanted to ask, does anybody know offhand what our transportation fund balance is? This is where we're pulling these funds from right now. Do we know what that amount is? Anybody? Ryan, maybe? I don't know.
I give Ryan 30 seconds.
He could probably
I'm
get
sure
that
he's
answer.
gonna have the number.
I'm just curious, what our fund balance is. We're going to use a good, $300,000 here to do this. And all I'm trying to say, can we focus it more narrowly and save some of those dollars to go other places versus put it into data that we may never ever use?
Well, Ryan's pulling up that information. I'll buy him a few more seconds.
Sure.
So I think one of the things that Leslie was trying to focus on and is important to remember is when we pick a route, whichever one, and we have to do the environmental analysis under CEQA, one of the questions Caltrans and the CEQA document is going to come back and ask us is, did you look at other alternatives? And if we haven't done that research now, we will stop and do it then. So it will make your CEQA process longer, and you'll have to pay for those studies in the future. And so that's, decide what you want, but I just want you to keep in mind that even if you shorten the process, and I'm not sure from the way Leslie's described the sort of dual track, it does shorten the process. That's a question for Leslie and Wallace. It will come back to slow you.
And that's
in the
going to be a
future.
demand from Caltrans, and that's the way they work.
That's the way they work, and there's nothing I can do about that. So is it more cost effective to do the study today and be able to pull that out of our back pocket when Caltrans asks for it? My answer would be probably yes, but that's up to you guys.
Yeah, anytime we can get data sooner than later, it's going to be less money, right? So Councilman Gray.
For the record, Elizabeth, Caltrans doesn't control where we're crossing, only the undercrossing for the 46. So that, I believe, it's really important to remember that, not to be argumentative. What I want to focus on is we have the design of the feasibility study. Accelerate it for the Ware Bridge, and then look at all the other possibilities, the purple and the red and the green, or the red and the purple one. But get the bridge going, because it works for every solution. The purple solution is a little different because that road does not go to the 46, it goes under the 46.
Well, even with the Ware Bridge, we will have to have looked at other alternatives.
Right.
Because we still have to do the CEQA analysis on that, and we will have to have looked at other alternatives. So it doesn't get us out of the other alternative or no project alternative that's required under the CEQA document that we'll have to do, whether it's through the Caltrans process or through our own.
But the other alternatives exist. It's Airport Road as it is today.
That's a no project alternative. We have to have it analyzed additional options besides no project and the project.
For Caltrans or
for CEQA?
CEQA.
Hang on one question, Chris. I want to get Ryan. Ryan, can you give us the amount of our transportation fund?
Yes, good evening, City Council. Ryan Cornell, Administrative Services Director. The cash balance in the fund is right around $3.7 million. We do have projects that are already kind of appropriating those funds. In addition to that, we did plan this in the budget 2-year cycle, and so the fund balance has already been appropriated for this project as well. I'm sorry? 460,000? Yeah.
Yeah.
For this project, it's coming in a little under budget, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, Chris Belch.
Thank you. And I forgot your name already, I'm sorry. Ethan, in your professional opinion, if we concentrated all of Wallace's assets on the west side only, can you do it any faster than bifurcating the project?
And less money?
I would just need
I'm not
to,
worried about the money right now.
I need to echo Leslie's point of you will have to look at other alternatives later. So everyone's intuition is the west side feels feasible looking at in 2D, but we'll be looking at a list of things that are not just lines on the map, but hydraulics, drainage. We're creating a low point potentially under 46. How do we get the water from there down to the creek? Constructability, as Leslie was alluding to earlier, that red alignment is much closer to those 46 bridges. And so the benefit the Wellsona Road had was you're not near the creek and you can construct temporary lanes in the median. So being so close to those bridges, there's a gap between the two directions. So that becomes a challenge. So looking at these multiple alternatives, in my opinion, is the way to go at this point.
So it kind of reminds me of the old auto parts commercial, pay me now or pay me later. Thank you, Ethan.
So I have another question.
Pro Tem Gregory.
So, and Leslie, both. So the unusual part of this feasibility study on alternative studies or alternative options is I don't think there's another alternative on the Warwaro Bridge, the blue one. Our alternative options are on the red and the green, or even the blue going on to Paso Robles Street. So how do you deal with that?
Well, the alternative option would be, the full study would be that we looked at the red and blue alignment and we looked at the purple alignment, would be the two alternatives. And then the previous green alignment. I don't know if we could use that.
All right.
I just have
Chris,
a couple things.
Yeah, Chris Beal.
So I appreciate the frustration with time and cost and effort that has gone into this and the importance that it represents. Warren, could you bring up this circulation map real quickly and just talk us through how this is part of an overall plan of moving traffic in that direction?
Yeah, so what's on the screen is the circulation element. This is part of your general plan. It's adopted by council. So this reflects your current circulation element. But the key thing to know is Airport Road has been in the circulation element since the 1980s as a connection between the airport and down to Creston Road right here. So it's designed as an arterial to offload a lot of the traffic that gets concentrated on Creston Road in Niblick today. So this segment that's in orange doesn't really exist today as a modern arterial. There's, the old portion of Airport Road, but the rest of it needs to be built. So the alignment that we have is the current alignment with the overcross and Warwaro Creek Bridge, like Leslie talked about, that's $150 million. Plus, we still need to build Airport Road through Chandler Ranch, so that's probably yet another $50 million. We need some sort of solution to that. So that's what's currently in the general plan. If we come up with this feasibility study leads us to a new solution that hopefully is more cost effective, then we'll have to update the general plan, the circulation element, to now shift everything there. We'll update the transportation fees and everything else and get everything into alignment on this new project direction. And then that will basically give everybody clear direction, from developers to investors to the city council to Caltrans, on exactly how the city's going to deal with traffic in the future.
Thank you. So I actually think we have to look at alternatives. That's what like a feasibility study is. And I know that we can all sit up here and, we have a pretty good sense of what the pros and cons are of different options. And it's complicated, and there's things that, I'm not a hydrogeologist, so I don't know how all of that works. But we have to hire professionals to look at the alternatives. And having Wallace have worked in this space kind of before and having such an enormous data set of prior material, I think gets us a long way in this process. In my mind, And I know everybody's frustrated, and I know this has been going on for 20 years. I recognize that. But in my mind, getting what we're going to get out of this process in 6 to 9 months is really an exceptional product. Absolutely. And it is going to be required of our to be moving forward with Caltrans. We can't, there are implications with the bridges. We cannot move on these paths independently. I appreciate wanting to separate it, but in separating it, I actually think it creates more problems than it solves. And so I would just move forward with the staff's recommendation.
Okay, other thoughts?
I think Councilmember Beal put it very succinctly. I don't see, after listening to Ethan, I don't see where this really saves us any time in accelerating just the west side. It costs us time down the road when we have to come back to satisfy Caltrans. And we get on Caltrans map or schedule only to be told, oh, you didn't bring this to us, do it again, and we get, that delays probably another year. If we're really truly interested in saving time, study all the options now and go into that meeting with Caltrans fully loaded. I can't see the false economy. I don't think that's something that taxpayers should have to burden. And I think we, as Warren said, as part of the circulation, alleviating that traffic off of Creston and Niblick, it's imperative to all of us, but especially our constituents in our southeast corner. Fred, you'd agree with that? Yeah. Thank you.
Like I said, I've been out there 47 years, and I know that Purple Line studies are going to be so expensive, and we don't even have the right-of-way where the airport road is currently coming into 46 East to make an underpass. We'd be cutting back so far to make a deep underpass there, it just will never fit. And to me, it just doesn't make sense to study something that would be so far out, but given the fact that Caltrans says we have to do this, that doesn't make sense to me at all either, when we all know, we're all fairly good about design, that it's just not going to fit. So why not go to the one that's going to work and spend our money and time and effort there? That's my whole point. We've already even had a dedication of, land from a landowner. So to me, it's going to be, bottom line, less money. We all know where it's probably going to land anyway. But to get through Caltrans, you're saying we have to do this.
But we're not giving up any of that dedication, the very generous offer. We're not giving any of that up. We're not turning our nose up at that. It still will come into play. But I think going through the hydrology studies now, just that portion alone, because you have to do, as we heard, the hydrology study for one bridge, you might as well do it for both at the same time. I don't think that's going to save us any money. Delaying it, it's not going to save us time. I think this is something we study all at once. It's under budget. I think all the stars are aligning to make this happen today and get it going and get an answer back in 6 to 9 months.
And I thank Wallace for, getting their numbers adjusted to where we even see them now. But I'm just trying to say to the council, focus on what we know is going to work. But Steve?
Well, we don't know if that dedication will continue. If it takes 6 years, he may not want to do it anymore. And I'm not using that as a pressure point, so.
It's not going to take 6 years, it'll take 6 months, Steve.
Well, 6 to 9 months. My point
So
is.
6 years is not accurate.
All right, I'm going to make a comment. So to me, most of the problem with Airport Road, Chris, is the southern part of 46 getting from the existing development to Union Road. That's most of our problem. This purple alignment does not do anything to get you onto Highway 46. It goes under. So for that reason, I'm going to make a motion, and you guys do what you want with it, that we approve the feasibility plan the way it is, except for the purple portion of it, because I think that's too far out there. So that would include the blue, the red, whatever she's got on the west side of Airport Road.
I'll second that for discussion, though. My point is, if we were to bring this back to Caltrans and sit them down and say, clearly, you know, they know the topography out there too, just like they did at Wilsona. That thing got built very quickly after that accident where it killed a local man. And they didn't have a whole lot of other options either, and it happened. So I'm going to ask staff that if we do this, where we can come back and sit down with Caltrans and say direction from council is to focus on that west side and the underpass, undercrossing right there. The disruption of, you know, the 46 and how that can work. That's why I asked you earlier, how receptive were they? And it sounds like they're very, you know, willing to do it. They won't commit, obviously, I know that. But my point is, we're trying to solve a problem and they need to help. They're a partner here. And so if we give you direction to get back with Caltrans and say, we want to study specifically this route, and given the fact that we're looking at these other two, but they're going to understand too that really the focus is going to be on that west side. Do you think we could get that meeting together where if we give you direction that we might be able to get more focused scope for Wallace to do?
So is the question that we move forward with the full feasibility study?
I'm having a hard time.
Is the question that we move forward with the full feasibility study, the full scope on the screen for the 356,000, but then have Wallace start on that work, but then ask Caltrans to just focus on one? Or is the hope that one will quickly rise to the top and become obvious?
One final question.
Chris, yeah. Do you have something?
Do you have an estimate on the cost of that bridge over the Guerrero for the airport road alternative? Because that looks like a longer bridge than the one we were going to build over Highway 46.
The Purple Bridge?
Yeah.
So the benefit of, I think there's a lot of benefits to looking at different alternatives, but the benefit to evaluating that particular bridge is that that could also be used for future development in the Mill Road area.
But do you have an estimate
So
on cost
even-
on that bridge?
No, that's what the feasibility study would help us with, determining that.
So we still, for the purpose of what you're saying, you're assuming that Wallace is going to be able to get the study done faster by eliminating the purple portion.
Not necessarily.
All of the undercrossings have challenges of accessing 46. I don't see this being any more of a challenge for coming back to Mr. Gregory's point of accessing 46. It still doesn't speed up the timeline at all. Wallace is a large company. They'll have multiple engineers working on different portions of this. We're still going to take 6 to 9 months to get it done. And we'll know then what it cost us, and we'll have better ammunition when we sit down, or they sit down with Caltrans to say why the purple line doesn't work. But if we don't have that ammunition now,
I get it. Yeah, I understand.
we can't, they're going to send us back. It's
And that's
gonna
why I
take another
asked
year.
Leslie directly, if we sit down with, you know, a face-to-face meeting with them and describe what we're trying to achieve here, are they going to revert back to say, no, we need you to study it all, you think? I mean, is that really going to be their answer?
One thing that hasn't been discussed is the acquisition cost on the Purple Road.
You know what that is, no?
Well, and I think that's the whole point of the feasibility study.
Thank you.
It's going to take 6 to 9 months regardless. And if we cut out one of the options, then it's going to take 6 to 9 months to know less than we do now.
Good point. Well said.
Yeah, there's 9 separate tasks with multiple deliverables underneath, you know, Wallace's project study here that they're proposing. And I'm just curious, really how much of that could be saved if we didn't study. And that's why I was kind of asking originally, put this off until Wallace could tell us
Well, I
really
think
what we could save.
each task is needed, for each alignment. So each alignment needs survey. So if we cut out the purple, we still need survey. Each alignment needs hydrology in Where Creek. So even if we removed the purple, we would still need to do the study. Each alignment needs geotechnical work. So removing one alternative, we still have to do the geotechnical work. Each alternative, because it's an undercrossing, it will take retaining walls. So.
All right.
And I can't speak for Caltrans, but they do seem to be alternative-based in how they make their decisions, bringing alternatives to the table and letting one rise atop.
So we have a motion and a second on the table at this point.
The table?
And just for,
No,
just on the table.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
on
on
the
the table. And for clarity, I'm not entirely sure what the motion is. Can
The
you
motion
repeat back
was to
Melissa?
approve as recommended, the full scope,
They
but
wanted
to
to
exclude
approve
the
it with-
purple portion.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Councilmember, can you stop? Can you say that more
Melissa?
loudly so that
Yes, the
everyone can hear?
motion that was made by Councilmember Gregory was to approve with staff's recommendation excluding the purple portion.
So I think that is problematic because we have before you a contract for $356,000 and change with a defined scope of work. I have no idea what the change in value or the change in scope of work would be. So we would need to, my recommendation would be if you want to go down that path, is you're going to have to continue it for at least 2 weeks, maybe, I don't know. how soon
Longer
we can
because
get
we
back.
need to rescope and do a,
Right, because we have to
a full-
rescope,
That's-
we have to do a whole new scope of services and get a new cost.
That's why I
from
was asking.
Wallace.
Yeah, I thought that we would have to push this back and bring it back to discuss it afterwards.
Call the question.
Well,
Well,
we'll talk about it here in a minute, but
yeah, so what I'm suggesting is that the motion as presented, I don't think works. So I would suggest that perhaps a substitute motion could be considered
To bring it back.
to bring it back with a revised scope of work
Call for the question.
on.
We've already called for the question.
no,
Okay, we'll call for
stand
the
by.
question, takes a vote, takes a motion and a second.
Second.
We already got it first.
So
Slow it down. Okay, hang on. Elizabeth, say this again. What?
so you have a motion before you
Yes.
to approve this scope of work and the $356,000, but to remove a portion of the scope of work. That is problematic from a legal standpoint in that I don't know what the scope of work is that you're actually approving because the Wallace Company would need to go back and revise the scope of work to take out the purple portion, and which I assume is going to have some impact on cost and what you're going to study. I have no idea what that is. And so that's the motion and the second that's before you. We've had a call of the question, which has now been seconded. So at this point, you're in a position to vote on that.
Well, unless we're still in
Unless-
discussion. We're still discussing.
Correct, you're still at the,
Right. So I will ask
No,
the
you
maker.
can't, you can't discuss after a
After you've
call.
called the question, we can't discuss.
We are in discussion. I called second for discussion.
No, you can't, John. That violates parliamentary procedure.
Elizabeth?
if I can.
Yeah.
So you were having discussion, there's been a call for the question, that has been seconded, and so now you need to act on the motion at this point.
Ed, say that again.
You have to act on the motion because
Yeah,
the question
I got
has been
it.
called.
All right, so we can act on the motion. Call for the question then.
Councilmember Gregory.
Aye.
Mayor Hammond.
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch.
No.
Councilmember Beal.
No.
Councilmember Strong.
No.
Motion
Okay,
fails.
so the motion dies.
So I motion item K1, approve a resolution awarding a professional services agreement to Wallace Group in the not-to-exceed amount of $356,583 for preparation of the State Route 46 East Airport Road undercrossing feasibility study and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement subject to such minor technical or non-substantive revisions as may be approved by the city manager and city attorney.
Second.
Okay, motion by Bausch, second by Strong. Discussion? Okay, call that question.
Councilmember Bausch.
Aye.
Councilmember Strong.
Aye.
Councilmember Beal.
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory.
No.
Mayor Hammond.
No.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we're moving forward with the project, okay? All right. Thank you. You want to take a break? Okay, well, let's do a 10-minute break here.
I'm not worried about that. You can do that. Well, I could have made my motion all different. Just come back on that.
We could still go through
call the meeting back to order, and we were at discussion of item number 2, appointment of a city council ad hoc committee to develop the downtown alley beautification and public realm enhancement program. Warren, do you have that item for us?
Yep, this is going to be a nice, quick little report. So yeah, this is about appointing an ad hoc to look at downtown alley beautification. Just a quick reminder, back in your 2024 Economic Development Strategic Plan, one of the programs was identified as placemaking and looking at enhancing a series of alleys in the downtown. This was then incorporated in your current 26-28 Strategic Work Plan. Objective 5.6, establish downtown alley ad hoc committee. So that was recently adopted. We were supposed to do that in August. It is now August. So we want to move forward with that. You have a resolution before you to take 2 actions, basically. We need an appointment of 2 council members to sit on the ad hoc committee. And then the recommendation is that they will look at this area in red. So there's City Park, there's 12th Street, 13th Street, so kind of Norma's Alley, but all the connectors to Norma's Alley would be looked at all the way over to Railroad. And then south of the park, between Park Street and Pine Street, would look at those alleys as well. So basically, all the alleys within the red box would be under the review of this beautification committee. So you can adopt the resolution. We could get started with this process.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and open for questions.
I have a question to Warren. Warren, so on this ad hoc committee, it's just downtown alley beautification?
Yes.
Or all commercial
Just downtown alleys
in the surrounding?
in the red box.
What we call the downtown,
Right,
right?
got it.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
not
you.
just all alleys, yeah. Other questions from council? Okay, we'll open up then the public. Any comment on this item, please? Seeing none in the audience. Anyone online?
Yes, sir. Jeffrey Weisinger.
Okay. Hello, can you hear us?
Hello, Council. Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry, I was at the meeting and I had to step away. But I just wanted to talk and advocate for the ad hoc committee. This has been something that has been discussed, specifically Norma's Alley, going back to 2016, I believe. And it's a really important subject for those of us at the Main Street Association, as well as those of us who have businesses in Norma's Alley. We acknowledge that there is several other alleys within the downtown district that the ad hoc committee are going to be looking at, but we are really pro Norma's Alley and hoping that we can put together an ad hoc committee with 2 council members and invite other members of the community, specifically from the Main Street Association and other local business owners, to get together and see if we can move on this as soon as possible. Again, this has been 10 years in discussion. We've had some great proposals from some Cal Poly students on ways that we can beautify the alley. It is in the heart of downtown, and many of us in the business community around there are very concerned about the safety of locals and visitors alike who are coming down the alley. We need to get that alley repaved, and the trash issue has been extremely important to us. Going back to 2016, I believe $85,000 was allocated or discussed about being allocated to come up with some sort of system that we can all work with to keep the trash at bay, and it is a mess. So I'm hoping that we can get 2 council members that are very pro-business and pro-community to engage with us in the community to get this Norma's Alley specifically as one of the main areas for business. There's a lot. Most of the other alleys don't seem to have the amount of
Okay,
business,
thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you for your...
down there.
Yes.
So we appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else online?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll bring it back to council for discussion and or action here.
Question?
Tim Gregory.
So I'd like to be on the ad hoc, but I wanted to give a little reference on that. I was able to help the city engineer, John Falkenstein, do alley designs close to downtown, and we actually built a couple for use. And one of the things we incorporated was the safety issues that Jeff was talking about, but also using something other than asphalt, like pavers and fixing things. And so I'd be interested in, I've spent a lot of time downtown. And
Yeah, you got a lot of experience, just like Jeffrey, on that. Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd be
Mr.
happy
Beal.
to serve also. I'm currently the liaison to Main Street and also the liaison to Public Arts. And while they aren't the same, they are sort of connected and aligned, and I think that'd be valuable.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for volunteering, both of you. Further discussion? Okay. So somebody could make a motion then on that effect? I'll do it. Make a motion then to have Pro Tem Gregory and Councilmember Beal be our ad hoc for the new downtown alley beautification and public realm enhancement program.
Second.
Okay. So we have motion by Hammond, second by Strong. Discussion. Call for the question, Melissa.
Mayor Hammond,
Aye.
Councilmember Strong,
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch.
Aye.
Councilmember Beal,
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Moving on, now we have City Manager Report. Mr. Huat.
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Do we need to approve the map?
There was an attachment.
That was okay.
I'm sorry, it was an attachment to the resolution, so it was included in the original motion. Got it.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few quick updates. Deputy Chief Enns let me know this evening that we've had one engine be assigned to the Gann Fire, which is up in Cabarrus County. We also have other staff up on fires in the Pacific Northwest. So we're doing our part from a mutual aid standpoint. We have those resources assigned. On the fire side too, it may be in the upcoming events slide, but if not, I wanted to remind the council and the community that we're going to have a ribbon cutting to officially open the Public Safety Training Center over behind Fire Station 3 on the 14th of this month at 10:30 in the morning. Everyone's welcome to attend. We had a coffee with the city last Friday, had a very good turnout, very good program, talking all things homelessness, had a robust panel discussion from a variety of different angles and agencies and individuals, and again, just a great turnout, lots of good questions. We're shooting for August 28th for our next coffee with the city. Be back downtown at the Patina Room at Cal Coast. We're going to be talking about all things water in the city, so a timely topic with the hotter months upon us. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, just again for the community and for the council, is we hit a pretty big milestone. This last week, the Parks and Trails Master Plan RFP hit the street, which has been 20 some odd years in the making, a long time coming. So thank you to Angelica and her team for getting that out. And we'll be evaluating proposals here in the not too distant future and coming back to the council to kick off that project, which is probably going to be about a year worth of very intense community engagement and study and work. So Mayor, that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Next is council business and committee reports. Can I start with Ms. Beal? Okay.
Really quickly, I want to thank Christopher for my tank tour. It was great. I think everybody should go visit the tanks, and they're doing their resurfacing right now that they do.
Up on Golden Hill? Yeah.
Yes, Golden Hill.
Yeah.
That used to be Golden Hill
Rolling
Roads,
Hill,
and
right.
those of us that are old enough knew that.
Yeah.
I went to an event at the Housing Authority that was both with the bookmobile and the mobile wreck on wheels, and it was a comic-themed event. There were some superheroes there, lots of kids, arts, activity, outside activity, books, and I just want to commend the community services staff for putting that on. It is such an important opportunity for our youth, and I think it's so important that the city is investing in that. I also went to the coffee with the city. I thought it was outstanding. I thought staff did an excellent job. The panel was very, very helpful. And I think it helped set the stage to really understand how complicated and integrated the issue around housing and homelessness is, and how we need to be looking at it from a different lens. And also, there was a lot of clarity about what the city can do and what the city can't do, and why it's important to be cooperating with our partners. And then I attended the first Public Arts Advisory Body meeting. That was exciting. We set the groundwork, figured out the rules, and watch out. So that's all from me, and thank you for letting me be of service.
Thank you, Chris. Go to the other end, Councilman Bausch.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to start by thanking Colleen Horquez and her amazing staff at the Paso Robles Event Center for delivering yet just another spectacular California Mid-State Fair. The food, the auctions, the exhibits, the livestock, the midway, the entertainment, even the weather, just amazing. Well done. I'd also like to recognize Sergeant Joe Leonard for his leadership in our police force. That was a huge presence down there. It was, I think I saw him almost every night, if not every night. So thank you, Sergeant Leonard. On Monday, the 27th, I attended a 221 regarding our topic of the evening, this State Route 46 East Undercrossing feasibility study. Just want to say thank you and shout out to Leslie and Warren, to Chris and David and Ditas for a comprehensive review and explanation. And I thank you for bringing forth my questions in tonight's presentation. Like Councilmember Beal, attended Coffee with the City at the absolutely beautiful community room at Sunrise Villas Apartments. If you haven't been out there, it's a great project by Paso Robles Housing Authority. Thank you to Angelica Fortin and Ashley Hernandez, even Sergeant Smokey, for an insightful and positive spotlight regarding our local homeless service network and the update on solutions. And along with Mayor Hammond, on Saturday, attended another slightly different celebration of America's 250th birthday at Raven Ranch with a presentation and question and answer with Devin Nunez. He's our former congressional representative for our neighbors in the 21st District and currently serving as chair of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board since January 2025. Fascinating insight as to what's happening, not just in Washington, but pretty much all over the world. He had something to say depending on the question, so it was a great meeting. And I think those are my comments for tonight.
Great, thank you, Chris. Councilman Strong.
Well, very little to report. I will have more next time because we have a SOCOG meeting tomorrow morning.
Very good. Thank you, Fred. Pro Tem Gregory.
Well, first I'd like to, we have our hearts out for the people in Spokane. I drove through Spokane when the fire started this last couple of days. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate our fire department here and all over the United States. I drove through 3 fires while I was on my vacation, and we're doing such a good job here in our city. It's just amazing, and very proud and feel very safe because of their efforts to protect us. And good job on the fair, Colleen and staff, and happy to be home.
Very good.
Oh, one question?
Sure.
Mr. City Manager, can we have a Friday coffee on the airport space program, spaceport?
Yes, Councilmember Gregory, we can definitely look into that. We're actually, David and Jen and myself are sitting down to start to pencil out the next set of Coffee with the City.
There's a lot of people are asking questions, right?
Yes, we can definitely look at doing that. Thank you.
Do we need a consensus from the county?
I think
direction.
I think I have sufficient direction. Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I attended several different functions at the fair, of course, on behalf of the city, and a great fair again. Colleen Borges and her staff did a fabulous job, and weather was still pretty good, decent at that point. Although I think the first day, Wednesday, rope drop, it was 108, but then it went down. Yeah, it was. On my truck it was anyway. It sure felt like it. Anyway, it was good. And the other thing, I have no other county meetings since we've been our last meeting, but I did recently sign on to a letter that we're sending to Governor Newsom and Senator Limon and Assemblymember Rivas, that is basically stating from 58 elected officials throughout the state saying, don't delay the affordable solution for Diablo Canyon Power Plant extension. That extension, if we were to get this approved, would save all of Californians approximately $1.3 billion per year in savings. So that's the approval to make it run is to 2045. We already have the approval is capable of going another 60 years, believe it or not, with the Westinghouse folks that do the certification. So anyway, I think that's important that we support the Diablo Canyon any way we can. I just did that today, so hopefully that'll make an impact with so many elected officials that are going to be making that decision. So that's all I had. We do have coming events. The Paso Robles Youth Commission Advisory Committee meeting on August 5th at 5 o'clock. Paso Robles Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, August 10th at 1:30. Development Review Committee is going to be August 10th at 4 p.m. Paso Robles Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee meeting, August 10th at 4 p.m. Planning Commission is going to be here in this room, August 11th, 6:30. The Library Board of Trustees is going to be the August 13th at 10:30. And then we have the Development Review Committee, DRC, again, August 17th at 4 p.m. Our next City Council meeting is going to be the August 18th here in this room, North Room at 6 p.m. I did have one other thing that I kind of wanted to run by Council, just reminded me. The fact that we have a senior advisory committee, which again, we just mentioned they're going to have their meeting. I would like to get a thought going here that maybe we can also develop a committee for the vets. The two buildings that we built there, one's for the seniors, one's for the vets. The vets are basically unrepresented. And I'm wondering if we can have consensus where we could tell staff to maybe come back with a proposal how we might be able to bring in another, I'm not saying add meetings, I'm thinking that maybe we could take the senior advisory, which happens every month, and make it every other month, but on the off month, we would have a veterans commission that we might be able to, they've been telling me that they would like to have their voice heard.
I support that.
I think it would be good to talk about, is my point. So if we can have a consensus that we want to hear a proposal maybe from staff that how that might be able to be done and represent the vets and their concerns with their building and what they do.
So it's your idea to have the same people do both?
We could. That's something that staff might be able to bring back. I don't want to add more work to our staff, but on the other hand, I think it'd be a way to use that vehicle that we have with the seniors, and they would have representatives on there too, maybe that, because they're mostly all seniors as well, the veterans that are there. So maybe we can combine the two, but this is something.
How about
again,
a joint meeting?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Something like that staff would be able to propose to us to talk about. Okay, this is just throwing it out. But, we give him to, say this is something we want to hear about.
But as far as adding events, not at the senior center.
No.
It is booked solid from 8 a.m., from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., Monday through Friday.
No extra meetings. So all we're saying is that we're going to do every other meeting at seniors, and the other one will be over at the vets, or vice versa. I don't know how that would work. But that's something that Chris and I talked a little bit about, and I think that if we can have him bring back an item for us to, council to discuss, that would be my druthers. If everybody's got a nod on that, I think that would be something we can do.
I have a couple of thoughts while we're just sort of bouncing this around. I think it's important for different groups in our community to have an outlet and sometimes formal, sometimes informal way to be connected to the city business, and then also, and the other way around, right? And while we're talking about the veterans, I mean, they're actually a really interesting group because there's a building, and there really is a very strong and important constituency. I would also add, in my 2 cents, that I'd like to see our outreach to kind of working families be more intentional. Again, I don't want to add any advisory bodies. I think there are a lot already, but being thoughtful about how we're getting input from the families and the next generation that's sort of folded into our vision statement. If we're going to have kind of a recommendation and coming back to council about that, I'd like to throw that in the pot.
Yeah, I'm sure you can
Well, you know,
discuss that.
to that comment, we have many of our areas in the city that have homeowners associations that are very active. Some of them, it's actually mandatory. And if they have a really active homeowners association, you might be able to get a representative from each of those to get you some of the input from those communities.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're being informed by parents, by kids, by young adults. There is a whole constituency of people in our neighborhood that aren't able to come to council meetings.
Okay. Chris, do you have enough to work with? Okay. All right, sounds good. Looking for a motion to adjourn then. Motion by Strong, second by Bausch. All in favor? Aye. Aye. We stand adjourned. So long.